everybody. Welcome to Tierp Arena in Sweden for the first visit to the country of Rallyx 2026. Second race weekend after kicking off at Valkenswaard in the Netherlands. And a gentle introduction for our competitors. Friday was all about qualifying and of course spread across all 5 classes. The juniors in cross car getting away to an entertaining start. I'm Martin Haven, alongside me Hal Ridge. And Hal, last year they didn't use this hairpin down at the end of the drag strip, but they have reintroduced it this year for a bit of variety. So it's been a bit of a focus point as well, particularly given the start. If you get a level start, you're always going to be under pressure down at the hairpin. A
proper concertina down there into the hairpin. Wasn't used a couple of years ago, as you said, but is back here now, and we've seen some fairly monumentous moments in Rallycross history, Rallyx history indeed, down at that corner. Crosscar juniors always providing plenty of action, generally great spatial awareness from these young drivers, running wide there. Yulalami towards the end of the session. A late joker here, Martin, in this lap, and the closing speed from the standard lap, as you'll see on the left hand side, provides plenty of action into this final corner. Plenty of people running wide there, as we'll see throughout qualifying and late to the semi-finals and finals today.
And really easy to overcook it into the joker lap as well, because the approach speed is much higher. And those walls, yeah, apparently they're not very relenting, that solid concrete barrier. So in cross car, again, same problems facing our young drivers, as faced our young drivers for the seniors in cross car. And with a little bit more experience, a little bit more speed, the joker is going to be a really important element, because you're looking to try and build it around a 3.5 to 4 second margin to stay in front after that joker lap.
So easy to get sucked into a mistake at the joker merge as we ride on the drone shots here into the alternative extra route that was, of course, founded here in Sweden back in 1998 on the gravel over that final little jump, and the gravel just gets dragged and dragged and dragged onto the tarmac, and as you see there, so easy to drop it onto the brakes. Onto open two-wheel drive. A lot of returning drivers this weekend, none more so than Marcus Norman on the outside. Back with the Mercedes with its new and improved engine all the way from the Southern Hemisphere. Did 15 laps of testing at Rallyx just last week, but unfortunately this would be all we will see of Marcus Norman all weekend. Sheds the rear bumper there. An engine problem during this session would be all she wrote. Johnny taking the race win, but it'll be in the next race in the background on the grid there where Linus Messmund would prowess. Supercar lights, 5 wide start for the single make machines. Matt Cake on the outside making his Supercar lights debut. Robert Spittles though, who dominated on the second day in Holland just a few weeks ago, taking the early lead in this one in the black machine.
Alexander Lindqvist and Kevin Darback were the feature race in this first qualifying round. Quite a lot of arms and elbows going on.
Spittles though taking the race win through that final corner. Not a mark on the car. And we move to Q1 for open 4-wheel drive. Darback having a little bit of contact in the run down to the first corner. So hard to judge the braking down there. All the drivers will have picked their marks. Bit of contact with Nason on the exit. At the moment looks up the inside, but that chicane comes up quickly, doesn't it, out of the hairpin. And there is no room to go too wide there, so one of you has to bail at some point.
I think these concrete walls are real eye-openers, aren't they? It's easy to get it wrong on the loose, it's easy to get it wrong on the big uphill right-hander, but the concrete barriers really gain the driver's attention when you're going sideways and it's just solid wall coming. Not always solid wall.
Great save for Adam Oman. Just dropped it on the loose, kept the throttle buried. Only his second ever race weekend in a 4-wheel drive machine. Nason though took the race win at the front of the order.
Spoiler alert, won't be the last time Oman gets a little bit out of shape there either.
Timmy Hansen on his open 4-wheel drive debut, the 2019 World Champion, making a poor start in his Q1 race. Romet Cerner leads from the front in his OMC Pace Motorsport machine, chased by Victor Christensen making his return, having raced at FC2 last year. In the background though, Timmy Hansen's poor start will be compounded by a puncture and he would lose even more time. Cerner though dropping the car at the hairpin, styling it out with a donut to continue in the lead, but having not taken his joker as Anderson and Christensen battle behind. Cerner would later drop down the order. Anderson taking the race win.
And that chicane does look like a potential for an overtaking position, but you've got to be brave and very committed.
On to the final race of Q1. Nicholas Gronholm having been fastest in practice on the inside. Supercar debutant Siversand in the Kjetil Larsen owned Volkswagen Polo, taking the lead around the outside, and it would be a lead that he would maintain ahead of Ollie Eriksson at the finish to take the fastest time in Q1.
Yeah, so Siversand ended up on the top of the pile in Q1 in the four-wheel drives. In Q2, the juniors are back at it, and again, mixed grids, so giving an opportunity to judge some of your opposition a little more closely.
A lot of Finns in the category at the moment, and it was Monisto who'd gone quickest in Q1, and it would be Monisto again in this Q2 session who would stop the clocks first. Alex Antila, who you will remember, Martin, in Alspin last year when you joined us, had a huge accident at the bottom of the hill. Antila, second fastest in the opener and second fastest again in this one. Jere Hukar on the inside in this qualifying race in his distinctive liveried machine. That's always helpful up here in commentary, isn't it? The blue and yellow and red of the Hukars. Yeah, right. Very welcome.
Right until he has to leave Crosscar Junior, his younger brother, and then they're both in Crosscar, and then we're left with a problem, aren't we?
I'm sure they could reverse the livery or something.
Yeah, definitely have to do something, won't they? Again, it's not just getting into the Joker lap that's proved problematic for a couple, it's getting out of it as well. It's a very different speed differential. So again, with Hukar there in the middle of the grid, moving on to the senior Crosscars.
Again, the Finns well and truly at it. Yulalami around the outside in the speed car Wonder. He switched to midway through last year, and we saw a rich vein of form having made that swap. Yulalami not driving with the JC squad anymore, but continuing in Rallyx. I'm sure we'll see him at his home round just next weekend at Honkajoki, our first ever visit to that circuit with Rallyx.
Yeah, busy few weeks, isn't it, for our Rallyx competitors, especially the Finns. They'll be limbering up and getting ready for a home round.
There's nothing like a home event, whatever championship you keep eating. That's where you want to get the job done. And indeed, in Crosscar, it was Thomas Ekmerstad who got the job done in Q1. And we will see in a moment that it was again Ekmerstad in Q2 who set the best time.
Yeah, managed to make good starts in both of the qualifying rounds and kept his nose clean, and that's the key, isn't it, really, is to try and escape everybody else's troubles.
There is the Norwegian starting on pole in this final race of the Q2 session, leading from the front, lifting a wheel, the speed car Wonder R machines. The chassis just look so balanced, don't they? So easy to run wide, they're unsighted over that jump if you're slightly offline, carrying too much momentum, but it was Ekmerstad who continued to top the order. Now open two-wheel drive, by this stage was already missing a couple of drivers. Ola Frosag with an engine failure, nose on into the wall. That would be the end of the Norwegians' first start with the new car. They're hoping to get it re-engined and back out for next weekend, but look at Simon Tiger there on pole position in this one, having been quickest in Q1. It was Lucas Gabrielsen in his first start of the year getting the run down into the first corner.
That start, that was just a rocket ship off the line, wasn't it?
Tiger took chase here on the back of Westman. Gabrielsen jokering and dropping down to third, but this was the story of the Q2 session. Look at the flames billowing from the sun to Simon Tiger's machine. We thought it was an engine failure at the time. It was in fact a split oil line that caused a significant fire. Sadly though, the team managed to repair those elements that were broken in the engine bay, but the engine has no oil pressure, so they're going no further this weekend. On to open four-wheel drive in Q2. Timmy Hansen in the middle, looking to fight back from that poor time in Q1 and contact with Darback that broke Darback's steering, spun Hansen, and he lost yet more time. Comet Cerner taking the race win. Nason on pole in this one. Lucas Anderson making the best of the starts in the blue machine and leading from the front. That's Victor Christensen in the wall. And as you alluded to earlier, Martin, that's Oman going for a wild ride.
Again, that jump, if you're half a metre offline, then you're in all sorts of trouble when you land, aren't you? Taking off's easy, as pilots often say. The skill is in the landing. Saying going on to that joker lap, that barrier is sitting there just waiting to catch the unwary.
On to the last race of the session. Siversen from pole, having set the best time, took an early joker, was side by side with Ericsson at the joker merge, and then Ericsson retook the lead but ran too deep into the penultimate corner, pulled the rear bumper off the FC2, and ultimately would finish second in the race.
Mistake you think he won't be making in the competition itself later on today. And into the final round of qualifying. At this stage, Manisto, Antila and the rest of them at the top of the pile, all fairly safe, but with over 18 cars in the field, it's only the top 12 going through, and so there were some critical races to be had. The first of 4 qualifying races, all 4 of the runners were outside the top 12, and so again, avoiding anybody else's incidents and having a clean run on the freshy water track is going to be really important.
So often the juniors get the wetter conditions running first in the sessions, but that ultimately means they also have the less dust, so it's 50-50, so close off the line. The junior machines limited to 9,300 RPM, of course, so nowhere near as fast into the first corner, but ultimately you still want to be the last of the late breakers, don't you? So it doesn't matter how fast you're going, you still need to choose the point at which you brake very carefully indeed. This bank corner, the grading of that corner is not shown on the broadcast cameras, as is so often the case, Martin, and you can really hug the inside and let gravity do its thing. Clean on the inside as well. In the past we've seen lots of loose down there. Going for a bit of grass cutting in the middle, a little bit of contact as well.
Yeah, that was Eddie Pearson, who was 12th after the first 2 qualifying rounds, really on the bubble, and so this mistake absolutely detrimental to his chances. And again, you know, the pressure building, knowing you've got to have a good run, just over driving it. Unfortunately for Pearson, that was not the 3rd qualifying heat that he wanted.
Angus Aho leading this one, bit of a mistake in the background. A lot of respect from those behind, just waiting to pick the throttle back up.
Waiting to see where the accident developed.
Conditions yesterday were consistent though, Martin, weren't they? They were very dry, the track cleaned. Today there is rain looming in the air, and it could be a significantly different story this afternoon.
Yeah, it was cool and dry. The dust levels are actually quite decent as well, so visibility was good, traction was good, and the wind helped to keep the dust blowing away as well. So the racing line stayed clean, rubbered in nicely. We had a folk race earlier this morning, so just a little bit more rubber will have gone down on the tarmac sections as well. They didn't come all the way down to the hairpin. They cut across around the roundabout here and turned hard right and back up.
You're right, a lot going on, isn't there, in this Rally Extreme weekend? Drifting, folk race. Ismo, the Finnish comedian, did a stand-up session last night in the paddock as well. Not that any of this lot would have been watching, they'd be far too busy looking at their data, I'm sure, because this is...
I think a lot of the teams were watching, whether the drivers were or not.
A lot of the fastest drivers in junior cross car in this one, and ultimately looking to achieve the best possible grid position for the semi-finals later on. There is Antila riding below the drone. Antila would go 2nd fastest in every session, but it was Manisto who would again be quickest to take a clean sweep of qualifying in junior cross car. Jere Hukar improved throughout. We ride on board or above Hukar at the moment, who will finish 3rd in this race to set the 3rd best time. But it's Manisto who tops the order ahead of Antila and Sebastian Ease, etc. Jere Hukar will also start on the front row for the semi-final.
Karamaki did make it into the top 12 at the expense of Eddie Jonsson-Persson. We saw that grass tracking moment for the white number 44 in his final qualifying run, and that was all it took to drop him out. Joanna Yiliaki as well. Eddie Stromberg, there was 6 of them who didn't make it through into the semi-finals. So there'll be 2 6-car semi-finals in Crosscar Junior. So that is the field set for today. Tomorrow, by the way, round 4 of the series, it's a busy day because all qualifying semis and finals will run in the same day tomorrow, Sunday. So from Crosscar Junior, final qualifying runs into Crosscar.
Big contact, just off the line. There's more of a kink on the start straight than you would think. Look at the left-hander there. That rear shot really tells you how much you have to move over to the left, and that side-to-side contact. The wheels locked together, and it was all a bit messy at that start of the cross-car race.
It's fine for the pole sitter to move hard left, but not if you don't get a great start, because then you're actually making contact with everybody right from the start. Rico Hukar starting on pole position in the third of the 4 races in qualifying Heat 3.
Yulalami making a great start around the outside in the purple-coloured machine. And it would be Carl Svedland who would take the fastest time, but not enough to push Thomas Eek Merstad off the top of the order. Espinese, etc. having a good run as well, as there's chaos in this one.
Yeah, Hukar kept his nose clean in this one, so ended up the 2nd fastest time. And that was actually over a 2nd and a 3rd slower than Carl Svedland. Svedland doing what he needed to do in qualifying round 3, but it is Thomas Eek Merstad at the top of the pile from Svedland, and outside the top 12, Jonathan Yililami, who looked like he had the pace early on. It just kind of faded in the final run, and the rest of them don't get a semi-final or final run either. So the top 12 will go through again in Crosscar. Open T-wheel drive, and the gap in the middle was due to be inhabited by Simon Tiger, but after that massive oil let go, he was out, and he wasn't the only one.
Lucas Gabrielsen locking the front wheel there on the way into turn 1 with the smoke, but more smoke for Victor Johansson, who almost squeezes his fellow Northern Sweden dweller Linus Westman into the barrier on the outside. But Johansson, after massive work to repair the car following his crash in Holland just a few weeks ago, loses the engine. Problems with the valve train costing him dear. We'll see if he uses the electric element of his hybrid system to get out in the final later on today, but certainly tomorrow will be a big ask for the Swede, who is likely to head for home and try and prepare for Finland next week. No such problems though for these two. Westman absolutely flying in Tierp ahead of Lucas Gabrielsen. It was Lidman who went quickest in Q3, but Westman, who was 3 times 2nd fastest, tops the order and will start on pole for the final later on. Eric Lidman, Lucas Gabrielsen, Simon Tiger, despite that retirement at the end of Q2 and then not starting Q3, qualified 4th. Johansson also in trouble. Nee, Persson, Froshaug and Norman round out your list of qualifiers.
So Supercar lights, and the story all about the man on the left of your picture on pole position, the Latvian Roberts Vitols. Could he make it 3 out of 3 fastest runs? Well, he made all the running down into the hairpin on turn 1. As long as he didn't muff that, he should have been away and clear, and he was nice and tidy there. Right behind him, the Dane and Norwegian, Darbach and Lindqvist. Again, their little personal battle. This is boiling down to these two trying to catch Vitols, but paying too much attention to each other in each of the qualifying rounds.
Extraordinary consistency for Vitols in his 3 fastest times. A 2:55.6 in Q1, a 2:55.6 in Q2 and a 2:55 dead in Q3. The class of the field at the moment in the single mate category.
Yeah, perfect score from the qualifying rounds. Kevin Darbach second fastest, just ahead of Alexander Lindqvist. So in Q3, that remains the same situation.
Into the final session for open four-wheel drive. A big scrum into the first corner. That is Victor Christensen getting squeezed against the wall and then running wide. Bit of contact with Romet Cerner, who goes for a big old tank slapper on the way into the chicane. There's Christensen, who actually got quite hard into the rear of Casper Janssen as well. And then watch this from the rear as Cerner just stays in the throttle, comes out the throttle. Nason, almost an avoidance, does a similar sort of thing.
Yeah, Nason's just sitting there. Well, make your mind up. Are you going to spin or not?
Anderson leading out, Christensen leading out front. Later on, with that damage to the rear of the car, Cerner coming back, having gathered it all back up. But it was Casper Janssen who would take the race victory. And Janssen ultimately would end up high up the order. This is the final race of the session. What we didn't see though was Timmy Hansen earlier on, absolutely flying out front in clear air, the 2019 World RX champion, finally getting a clean run. And while this quartet battled, Oliver Eriksson had a good look up the inside here of Siversend. As we look back to the first corner, that's Nicholas Gonholm trying the outside. Anderson having a nibble into the rear of Ollie Eriksson, side by side into here, will not work. Eriksson bailing, but just letting Siversend know he was there. This battle would continue. How impressive has Siversend been on his four-wheel drive debut? Ollie Eriksson, one of the most experienced drivers in the world of rallycross. But ultimately all this fighting opened the door for Hansen to set the fastest time. Gronholm fighting in the traffic as well. Anderson, who claimed victory just a few weeks ago on his four-wheel drive, well, his open four-wheel drive debut weekend, having competed in Supercar Lights for the last few years.
Hansen telling us before Q3 that he'd run out of talent yesterday morning. Gronholm ran out of tyres. He's used all his dry tyres, so he'll be hoping for a little bit of rain. There is rain forecast for today, but the deluge that originally was forecast seems to be passing us by. So Gronholm might be in a little bit of a tyre deficit before the semis and the finals get underway.
Ollie Eriksson having a good look up the inside of Siversend here, but ultimately that corner's way too tight to make that work. Siversend won all three of his races in qualifying, but the battling was just too much there in the final run. Nevertheless, he was top of the qualifiers ahead of Ollie Eriksson, Casper Janssen and Timmy Hansen, salvaging fifth despite that poor start to his weekend.
Eriksson showing how close it might be for Siversend, though. He was never in clear air, was he, Eriksson? So Siversend was under pressure all the way, with Eriksson right behind him. So there we go. That is qualifying 1, 2 and 3 completed, and time now to get into the semis and the finals.
A couple of...
Well, welcome to Tierp in Sweden, everybody. Martin Haven. I'm the super sub for the weekend and next weekend in Finland as well. And of course, Hal Ridge, the voice of reason. And after a fairly breathless run through the qualifying, finally we get a little chance to see the cars in action. But very different conditions already today.
Yeah, it's just started raining, hasn't it, out of the commentary box window as the Tierp Arena gets ready for the grand opening ceremony here ahead of semi-finals and finals this afternoon. Of course, there's all sorts going on. There was folk race this morning. There's drifting going on in the drift arena, and yeah, there's plenty more of that to come as well. But the semis and finals are set up to be very lively indeed. And while it's not ideal for spectators, trackside, I love a bit of mixed weather in rallycross because it just brings, in any motor racing, it brings a different element. But certainly in rallycross, when the loose is changing its complexion all the time and the tarmac's so slippery. I don't know if you can see out of the back of our window the drag strip in the background. Tierp was originally built as a drag racing arena. Look how slippery the drag area is. We're not using that, of course. We're using the asphalt around the side. But yeah, the grip's going to be limited at best.
So the opening ceremony, we've got all of our drivers coming out now, from the youngsters in Crosscar Junior all the way through to the most experienced. And again, experience is going to be the key factor here, isn't it? Feeling where the grip is always difficult if you are relatively new to your machine or to the sport. So if you're new to your car, if you've moved up a category, or as with some of our juniors, if they're really kind of still finding their feet, then changeable conditions are going to be awkward. And when the juniors were out, through all the qualifying runs, actually free practice as well, we could see that they were often on a recently dampened track, but that was only the loose. So the tarmac will be a very different thing, and particularly coming off the start line all the way down beside the drag strip to the hairpin, it's all tarmac. It's all had a nice bit of drizzle on it. You can see where they're walking, where these vehicles are moving, there is just a damp surface, and that's going to make those concrete walls open their eyes even more, I think, than they were in the dry.
Oliver Ericsson's FC2 machine leading the parade. Someone in the YouTube comments, King Carrot says, Tierp still gives Oliver Ericsson PTSD, and yeah, I'm sure it does. That reference is because it was just there actually going in the other direction where a suspension knuckle broke on the Honda Civic in 2019, and the Oliver Ericsson's championship hopes ended in the wall in a pretty emotional fashion. He's since won this title and gone on to do many great things as well. So yeah, that all comes down to the experience, and ultimately you learn from all of those scenarios, don't you? There's a cross car there as well. Can't see from this distance who that is at the moment. I think that's Carl Svedlund, who's changed category for this year, moved up to cross car from junior cross car, changed chassis, and since the opening round in the Netherlands a couple of weeks ago has also changed livery. So lots of changes for him. A couple of drift cars behind. Don't claim to be a drift expert by any means, but there's some amazing engineering in the drift cars in the paddock. It's I do love good engineering. And then folk race as well, where engineering is an element, but it's all super low budget. And folk racing, Bill Cross in Norway, is something that the Scandinavians have so right, Martin, where you can enter motor racing at a very achievable level and not be having to spend the, let's face it, it's expensive, isn't it, to do, and you can get involved up here in the Nordic region.
Well, in the UK, the equivalent would be grass track racing, which you do at a fairly similar. You build it yourself, you engineer it yourself, you fix it yourself, you fund it yourself. It's that kind of level as well.
But the critical element to folk racing is that the cars are always for sale. There's a bid process where cars are bid on and they're at a fixed price. I forget what that fixed price is, but it's not loads of money. And should someone win the bid, you have to sell your car, and ultimately that keeps. Yes, someone will always do the most development because everyone wants to win, but at the same time, you're not going to do so much that you're going to lose loads of money when someone buys it off you at the end of the event. So it's really a really good concept, and great that that's part of this weekend here in Tierp, that the Rally Extreme weekend celebrating the absolute grassroots of the rallycross concept up here. A lot of the drivers there. It's like Where's Wally, isn't it, for drivers, this this parade. I'm sure that those of you at home who are familiar with Rallyx can spot your favourite drivers. There's a wide range of nationalities competing here this weekend.
Scandi heavy. The motorbikes, by the way, are related to that ramp you can see in the middle of the mirror surface of the drag strip. I've got to say that freestyle motocross on wet drag rubber might not be my idea of a fun time, but they are here, and if I know freestyle motocrossers, they will put on the show anyway. You can see that they've got a landing bag there, collapsed and ready to go.
In the background, out of the commentary box window, there's a multiple open two-wheel drive champion lining up. I wonder if we can pan out a bit on this camera shot and see that, if they can hear me in the OB truck. But Victor Hansen, I was leaning into Victor's car, looking into a very sorry engine earlier with lots of valve damage, piston damage, but he was contemplating running in the final this afternoon on his electric motor only, and he's clearly driven up to the parade using that electric powertrain. This championship's full of incredible engineering as we pan out. You can see Victor's big Mercedes on the left-hand side, and yeah, you've seen it before, Martin. A home-built hybrid system is just an extraordinary piece of engineering, and we love to see more of that in motor racing across all sorts of disciplines.
And of course, next time he's competing in Sweden, it'll be at his home track, where not only does he build the car, fix the car, but they run the event and they do the catering and everything. I mean, the busiest man on planet Earth that weekend, isn't
I think he's been one of the busiest men on planet Earth since the last round in Holland, with the damage he sustained and the work he's had to do. Of course, he documents it all on his YouTube channel, so I think it's engaging, because for those of you that have watched it, it's just Vic. He's not trying to be a superstar, he's just documenting what he's up to, which is lovely. Umbrellas up in the stands. What a shame for those that are braving the weather that the rain has come just at this moment, but they will be in for a treat with the action they will see this afternoon, that's for sure.
It's actually raining quite a bit now. When we went out about 40 minutes ago, before we came on air, we were just in the drizzle, but now that's proper rain, isn't it? So yeah, as we look in the distance, it's a very, very wet loose. We'll talk about the tarmac being damp, that's now going to be proper wet. There's no chance you're going to get away with anything here in terms of slippery surfaces. So again, places like landing from the jump are going to be really tricky. Obviously the hairpin, the run down from the grid to the first corner. If you get a level start off the grid, then is discretion going to be the better part of valor down into the hairpin? It's very easy to get pinched in against the inside wall as you're coming down to that tight right-hand hairpin. Very easy indeed to over-rotate round there as well. Maybe some lessons from the drifters might be, not the singing group, our drift kings who are here, might be useful as well. Then you go onto the loose, onto the jump. Landing from that wrong is going to send you towards another wall. That's if you survive this chicane halfway down towards the loose. And then we've got the big parabola, the banked right-hand turn with half tarmac on the inside. If you keep the line tight, you're on the tarmac. If you run out wide, you're onto the loose and off into the boonies. Again, very easy to over-rotate at that point, particularly on wet tarmac, on slippery tyres, and once the mud starts getting dragged on there as well. And then the join from the Joker lap is a very big speed differential. Getting onto the Joker lap is very tight, very much slower than you think it's going to be. And so entering the Joker lap is fraught with difficulties. The rejoin, there's a massive speed differential. And then you come down to another kind of hard left, 90 left, in between concrete walls, around a right-handed roundabout, and then left across the line. It's a very, very busy lap. And it's got flow in places, but it's a sort of half street circuit in my head as a racing viewer looking at it. And on the slippery tarmac, it's not going to get drier, it's going to get more slippery. So I think we are lining up ready for our national anthem.
Hooding machines with the lights on, as we are, as you say, about to hear the Swedish national anthem, no doubt. Not raining that bad, is it? You can say off that shot.
Doesn't look like it. When the camera's looking across at everybody, it looks like there's more to it, but actually she doesn't look like she needs an umbrella at the moment. fairly familiar national anthem in Rallycross, the Swedish anthem, and beautifully delivered as well.
Yeah, we've heard it once or twice, you're right.
might have been the odd occasion.
Fireworks behind the crowd of drivers.
I guarantee not one of them knew those were happening, and there will have been a few who were, ooh, with quite a shock as that went off, just a few metres behind. Well, hopefully our hardy spectators today and again tomorrow will be treated to some great competition. Tomorrow is going to be a very busy day, and the weather forecast is for it to be dry all the way through. So hopefully, maybe with a little bit of overcast, but you never know, some might break through. But it should be dry conditions for all of tomorrow. So today, it just remains to see actually how much water we get, or whether this all starts to dry out a little bit, because he said, Hal, looking out of the window, it's a little hard to tell when you look out the window. It's always much better if you can stick your hand out the window. But a few umbrellas, I think, have gone away, so maybe it's not raining quite as it was a few minutes ago. So lots of the concession stands are open underneath the bleachers here. Of course, one of the advantages of tiered seating is that there's plenty of room underneath for sales outlets, so lots of food and drinks available to everybody who's competing here and who's watching here, and an awful lot of the teams camping here as well. Motorhomes, there's a big motorhome village just behind the paddock, and all of our drivers. Still most of them huddling under somebody else's umbrella. Flags, there seems to be an awful lot of checkered flags around. So in the main administration building here, actually, nice little display on the ground floor. An ex-Stefan Johansson McLaren MP43 from his time racing for McLaren, one of 7, possibly 8, if memory serves, teams that Johansson drove for in Formula 1 before he embarked on a hugely successful sports car racing career. And lots of pictures as well of Super Swede Ronnie Peterson and Reiner Wissel, who competed, another Swedish driver, competed in Formula 1 in the 1970s. And there's a Talbot Sunbeam Lotus rally car as well. A reminder that the Rally of the Midnight Sun is based here in Tierp in July. So I imagine quite a lot of these fans will be back to see that as well. It's like the Arctic Rally and the Jena Rally. It's one of those that has never necessarily been a stalwart of any particular rally championship, but has a massive reputation. Fast and flowing Swedish roads.
The drift cars being led away there on the track by the Hudig machines. No doubt the drivers will follow suit. There are the drift drivers just using up a bit more rubber as if they haven't used enough so far today. I suspect the folk race car being front wheel drive can't do the same kind of job, and Victor Johansson's all electric now Mercedes won't have quite the same racket.
FMX riders are saving the rubber by just using the rear wheel. Yeah, Victor's going to have to get that back on charge now, isn't he, having come out for the opening ceremony.
They only have a final, they open two-wheel drive today, so that's not for a couple of hours, so that'll be absolutely fine, I have no doubt.
Yeah, open two-wheel drive have suffered the most casualties, haven't they, through qualifying. And still another day of action to go tomorrow, so those whose cars are healthy at the end of today will be looking an awful lot better off in terms of championship positions than they were after Valkenswaard. So our track sweepers, they've been up to a lot of good, not just on the Rallycross track, but also, of course, after the drifters have been in action, they have also been sweeping away. What you'll be unsurprised to learn is quite a lot of discarded rubber comes off the tyres. So we are...
so this is a Scania diesel Arctic truck on the left as you look at it, and an all-electric Arctic truck on the right, and they are going to have a drag race, but not on the drag strip, because having been wet, it's grip limited now, isn't it? I would suggest.
That might be quite a slow race.
So electric on the right, diesel on the left. There you can see the electric machine. Scania pushing the alternative technologies hard with their range of vehicles.
And of course, you think of a semi-trailer like that, and it's obviously got this big cab structure. But if you take out the diesel engine and the tanks, and it's got that big chassis, it seems purpose-made, doesn't it, for battery packs? So, and again, you know, things like trucks and buses, particularly in China, who's been the market leaders in this, a massive amount of investment going into EV buses, trucks, and all of the heavy moving equipment. Well, all of our rallycross competitors will be making the traditional internal combustion engine noise, which is all good. And all of our drivers heading back now then. Okay, here we go. So this is going to be a proper Top Gear style drag race with a flag and everything. So I've got to make sure that all of our competitors are safely out of the way, because I don't know about you, but I'm not sure I'd want to be standing on the edge of the end of the drag strip there with two articulated lorries hurtling towards me. Hurtling being a relative term, but when they're big as they are and heavy as they are, that's still an awful lot of fast moving equipment. Part of the question here might be, with all the talk of the diesel engine and all of the instant talk of the EV, which actually gets off the line better? And also, how much of the drivers rehearsed this? I'm not going to lose it to an electric.
I wonder if I can add drag racing to my CV.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will. There's Andreas Eriksson joining in the, he's jump-started in the buggy.
I thought he did well to get round the corner there without losing the left rear wheel. I did think we might be in a little bit of a bind there, but he's heading out of the way. So, as if our race director didn't have enough different things to do, he's now got to adjudicate over potential starting procedures and full starts in a battle of technologies truck drag race.
Glenn Olsen there from Rallyx on the wall with the green flag, giving the warm-up.
It's been the first time he's done this then, having wound the flag round the flagpole. You can see from our gantry camera it's still fairly gusty. Was that it? That was another rehearsal. Okay, another flag waving rehearsal. So is it on the drop of the flag or the oh? We actually do need to be using the drag racing Christmas tree for this. That would give it proper kudos. And again, for our camera crews, this is going to be a little venture into the unknown. They're not actually quite sure how fast the moving vehicles they're going to have to pan to keep up with are. Oh, that was it. All right. Lots of wheel spin from the electric truck. A lot of wheel spin from the electric truck. He just does seem to be nosing ahead. He's got a full cab length in front. Oh, showing off now, going with the horn as well. Yeah, that is a definitive win for the EV, no question at all. Almost an entire truck length ahead by the time they got to the flag. So despite that extra wheel spin, having that instant torque available, as any EV driver knows, means that acceleration is, I mean, apart from anything else, you don't have to slow down the acceleration rate to change gears and all of that going on. So I'm assuming they both have a different set of ratios in the gearbox, high and low ratio, and presumably the EV isn't with an empty trailer and the diesel with a full trailer, because that just wouldn't be fair at all. I think that went fairly much the way we might have expected. Now, if they both have to go for 1,000 kilometres to deliver their load, that might be a different proposition for their drivers. So the umbrella's been packed away. Nobody's taken their Macs off of their hoodies. It's not the warmest of days, but the rain does appear to have abated. I don't think we could even remotely start to describe any of the tarmac as anything other than damp. I think we are in a position where we might be getting ready to get events underway. So, as we saw earlier in our slightly breathless canter through yesterday's qualifying, we will start the action with the cross-car juniors and then go into cross-car. Not all of our categories will have semi-finals, so we will go through all of the semi-finals before we head into the finals, and again that will start, the finals will start with cross-car juniors, working up through cross-cars and so on and so forth. So hopefully we'll be able to get our cars coming out onto the grid. So the top 12 qualifiers in cross cars will go into our two semi-finals, and most of the names that you will know and expect from juniors and from cross cars have made it through. I don't think there were too many major dramas in terms of reliability or accident damage. I think that was fairly limited, despite the fact that they do look quite exposed with the open wheels. Hal, everybody was, I think probably aware enough of their own fragility in a cross car that contact with walls and each other was reduced to a relative minimum.
I don't think you think about that when you're in them. From experience, I think you drive as hard as you can for as long as you can, don't you? And I don't think yes, you give each other a bit of respect as you would in a Formula car, but at the same time, you see a lot of wheel clashing, as is rallycross. Really, you're always going for gaps that don't really exist, and yeah, I think as we've seen many times, the racing's hard, especially in this first corner hairpin, where contact is sometimes just a result of how close the starts are, how optimistic you are on the brakes. Looking at the first corner out of the back at the commentary position, there isn't really many markers you can pick to choose your braking points. For sure there will be some, but it's not like there's braking markers, there's not corner markers, there's not many flags, you know. So as a reference, you from a driver's point of view, you're always looking for something you can just use multiple times, and there isn't really that furniture.
Yeah, you're definitely having to judge it on the visual distance, and that's going to change as well. And the problem now is actually, even in this morning's warm-up, it was still dry. So this will be the very first time that they go down to the hairpin on a damp track, on a greasy track, and so actually judging that and trying to be brave is going to be very difficult. You're going to have to be a little bit more cautious, I think. Well, there you can see, just getting rid of some of the gravel from the faults race earlier. A high proclivity for the fog race drivers to be using, particularly Scandinavian equipment. Lots of Volvos, lots of Saabs. Again, like bracket racing in drag racing, particularly appropriately here at Tierp. Having the selling plate, the price at which anybody can buy your car from you, does stop over-investment.
So we're joined by multiple Rallycross champion in the studio, Kevin Eriksson. Kevin, I was about to discuss the amount of caps you're wearing. You're wearing your OMSE cap today. You've been super busy in the build-up to this event, haven't you? You're running this weekend. You're running the team. You're running the series. How's it going?
Yeah, it's been an eventful couple of days here, I would say. Obviously, the weather hasn't helped us. We were supposed now to have the full what do you call it, airplane show now, aerobatics and loops and everything, but he couldn't start because of the weather. So bad luck, but it's always like that. When you plan something big, you always end up with some issues. But so far everything good. I mean, Scania and Hudig, they've been flatting out, worked flat out on track. Very thankful for them to help us arrange this event and to be here. And I mean, I think you saw the highlights from yesterday. So the 3 qualifyings yesterday, and it was good racing. And it will be interesting to see. Obviously, yes, like always, some two-wheel drives that blow up engines and here and there and so on. So we already lost some cars running up here, but so far good.
This track's really evolved, hasn't it, since we first came? I remember that first time we came here was super rough. There was a lot of damage. It's actually evolved into being quite an interesting circuit, certainly using this first corner again. There's lots of action, but it's not brutal on the cars. You just have to be very careful. I think that last corner, or that last section, Joker, is interesting with the closing speed. I think actually it's quite an interesting circuit to come to.
For sure. I mean, as you know, we try to develop this all the time together with Tierp Arena. I mean, why we are here is quite clear. That's why we see. I mean, we do the drifting, we do the rallycross, we have a full track show. It's probably 50, 60 trucks, Scania trucks out there. So I mean, it's hard to see on camera how big this place is. 2 years ago, I mean, we had a packed grandstands. The weather hasn't helped us this year, but it's a pretty cool, spectacle arena here in the middle of Sweden in the countryside. So very American, if I say so. Which I've been I've seen a lot of that racetracks, and they really try to do the same here.
And you're only an hour from Stockholm as well, so big metropolitan area. Obviously, Sweden's biggest population centre is close enough that people can come from the day. Weather forecast tomorrow is good as well, isn't it? It's certainly a lot better than it was looking for today. So hopefully that will help with turnout.
For sure, yeah. And the airplane, everything. He will be here tomorrow, so hopefully in the TV show tomorrow we will get to see some of that. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned here when the first time. I remember myself, I drove that year. I drove Supercar Lights, and I was leading the final until the last lap. And yes, like you say, the track was rough, and I broke the damper, I remember. So I got some memories back here when you said that. And then I had a great battle here with Kristoffersson and Weiby. When's that? 23, I think, when we did the short track, which is the short track is what the rallycross drivers are using. Folk race drivers. Folk race we will show tomorrow on TV. That's where I come from. That's where Robin Larsson come from. It's like the entry level of rallycross, you can say, and where you can start from the year you turn 15. So it will be great to show the world, because it's quite fun. Because every time when I'm in the US or even in Europe, everyone always asks folk race, because it's very unique for Sweden, Norway, Finland, and even our 3 countries, they have some differences.
I was trying to explain to Martin a little bit earlier when we were looking at the opening ceremony, to just explain the concept of the finances behind folk race, because for me, everywhere has entry-level categories, but really the concept of folk race keeps it on a level where other classes may get too big because people invest too much money.
Exactly. So folk race is quite clear. I mean, you build your cars yourself. You start off with a normal road car. They're trying to make it a little bit modernized, but still like the most popular cars are the old Saabs and Volvos and so on. But it's start to see some new modern cars as well. New for this year in folk race by general is a turbo category. So obviously a lot of the today road cars has a turbo, even if it's small, and that's been banned. So that you will see some of those here. Actually, the second race ever in all of Sweden. But anyway, folk race, you build your car yourself, quite basic rules. You do it yourself in your home garage. I built a couple cars myself. The really fast guys, they build a car in 4 or 5 days.
Wow.
So, but quite basic. You tear out all the like glass and so on. You put in a roll cage. You do the race. All the cars are for sale. So anyone that has a license to drive folk race, you doesn't have to race that race. You can go to any race in Sweden that's a folk race, and you can put a bid on it, and you're in the lottery to win that car. So that keeps all the cars to be not spending the crazy amount of money. some events they do that anyway, and they calculate the loss. But if they want to win, you want to win.
And you pay to put a bid on, don't you? And then the price of the car is capped.
Yeah. So the price of the car is I hope I say right, but I think it's 11,000 now. It's been a little bit, it was quite funny. We talked about this, and I was, it wasn't so long time I did a Folkers race, and then I could think back, and then it was 2015. That's 11 years ago. So I kind of get a reality check that I'm old when we had that chat yesterday.
So that's about €6,000, £5,000, something like that, which is
a car. No, 1,100 euro.
Oh, okay, all right. So yeah, my conversion's miles out then. So that's So that is, I mean. So that's a very, very affordable second-hand car.
Each bid that you put on a car is €40.
Yeah.
So, that's the chance you put your bids on the cars you want. So it's a very good way. I mean, sometimes it's not good because you lose your car, but sometimes you're lucky and you get a really good car. So, but that's the beauty of it. And like I mentioned, I mean, for example, a driver who raced a lot in Rallyx and won World RX events is Sebastian Eriksson. He's no related to me, but he was kind of like my brother. We lived together for so many years. How my father kind of gets his eyes on him was that one guy called him and said, "Oh, it's another Eriksson that is starting to get close to your record of wins as a junior." Since my father, he won like 86 events of 111 he did in 3 years. And then Sebastian, in 1 year, he won like 36 or 40 that he did. So he was a really talent, and that's kind of how he came into our family and OMSC and so on. And he raced on very professional and high level in America and for many years. So Folkers has produced a lot of really good drivers, especially from Sweden. So
and I think you see the NGK Masters is a big event every year. You see big names go and compete in those events. Chris Meeks, Johan Kristoffersen, Zosi Vabies, people who have accomplished amazing things at a high level, and they go in and compete at folk race level. And actually, it's super tough, isn't it? Because it's a whole mindset shift. You're not relying on the technology in the car. It's so competitive, isn't it?
I mean, I would say that's the only race, the race that Kristoffersen hasn't won yet. The folk race event. He's tried now a couple years, and better Volvo 245 every year. But it's not easy. It's very competitive, and I mean that's. You see, like Robin Larsson now, like he told me, especially a lot when we did the FC1 in Nitrocross the last couple of years, I was maybe equally as fast, but he always had a racing advantage over me because he kept going. Between breaks, he did some Folkers events, and that's what's needed in the sport because it's so similar to rallycross. Yes, there's no time; it's just whoever finishes first. But you still get the first corner. The small tenths of seconds here and there and doing the correct decisions. So it's a great sport and a sport that I love. And that's how my mother and father met, racing each other as juniors. So I mean, without Folkers, I maybe wouldn't be here. So.
Yeah.
and people like Robin are still racing today, aren't they? Well, not specifically today, but Robin's still active in folk race because while he doesn't have a program sorted right now, it's just all about keeping sharp, isn't it? And that experience you talk about. You're busy running a team and a championship, whereas if you can be in the seat of anything a lot, it only helps.
I think you are correct. I think he is racing today because that's the thing. In Sweden today, this weekend, there are 16 Folkers events.
Wow.
With 1,000. It was actually one of the organizer on the Folkers side here. He told me it was 1,082 something drivers doing folk race this weekend in Sweden.
Wow. Incredible.
So obviously it's a good weekend because it was a holiday day on Thursday. So a lot of the maybe, we maybe chose the wrong weekend for the Folkers because Folkers, you maybe don't travel 5-6 hours because you have a track. You have a track that is 30 exactly.
Yeah.
So, but it will be great fun to see them and to showcase it. And the cars, some are nice, some look like they have done 100 races because they probably have, and that's the beauty of it. So. It will be interesting to see what you guys think because I guess, Martin, you never seen something like that.
Well, I have because it was featured in Top Gear. James May went, actually I think he went to Finland. I think he went with folk racing with Mika Häkkinen, the Formula 1 world champion. So yeah, it has had global exposure with programs like that and obviously now so much social media out there that has exposed it. So so in the UK, we do know it. We don't have as close a direct equivalent. Our closest would be autograss, and again, it's you can race absolutely anything, and there are some very loose sort of class structures, and you can actually get quite sophisticated cars in terms of how sophisticated a Mini can be with all the bits stripped off it. But it's that kind of thing. It's hundreds of pounds rather than tens of thousands. And that's the key, isn't it? Is that it has to be affordable on a budget of somebody who's going to work Monday to Friday and has kids and a house to pay for and all of that.
So that's, one good thing here is that the winner of the junior category here this weekend will get to drive a Supercar Lights. Fully paid, fully mechanic, all damage in Älvsbyn is the plan. So that will be really interesting to see, because I know just how good those drivers are. So it would be really fun to see them come up against, the established drivers, and to see how they kind of mix in eventually. So we will see which junior that stands on the top of the podium after Saturday to see. And
it's also an environment like early days karting is for many, where it's just racing for the love of it, isn't it? There's no commercial distractions, trying to get sponsor, all that sort of stuff. It's not a commercial environment, is it? So you're just running a car to race it because that's what you love to do, and really that creates a different environment from trying to raise the funds to compete at the very highest level, where there's all sorts of other pressures that you have to consider.
Yeah. No, I mean, and like I said, most of us that are in rallycross, in Rallyx paddock or other paddocks, we have, either done the whole trip in Folkers or for sure done races. So it's really like the Folkers is one big family that's really, really fun to be a part of. So great. And then obviously the drifting, completely new for me. Obviously we've had it here before, more as a show. Quite funny, because obviously this year the drifting area have moved. Because last year, the first year I think we had it in the middle of the paddock. So no one could see anything for like 3 days in a row, because it was filled with smoke everywhere. So we we learn, we have to maybe do like this, so they are down here. But that's the first round of the Swedish Championship, so very interesting to see that as well. You will see that later today. It will be Swedish commentators, but I think, all the, if you want to see some cool drifting, you can see that, I think, from like 16:45 something when we win the finals.
On the back of us, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And there's some amazing engineering. I was having a poke around the paddock this morning. Even at the lower level with some of the not quite sophisticated cars, the engineering is fantastic, and it's much like open tour drive or old school rallycross, where people are designing stuff at home, building stuff at home. I love it. It's really interesting.
It's something that obviously they have a really big boom now in drifting, so it's cool to see how much it's grown, and like you say, I know you love the open two-wheel drive. I love that as well. You get the really cool home builds that yes, they have maybe as many blown engines as Tiger and Norman, and the guys that really try to make something cool for the fans, and big flames. And I don't know how many bags of this that if when they blow the engine, you get oil everywhere. So I don't know. I thought I bought a lot of it to have for the whole event, and I don't know how much I put up there already. So
it's been a bit.
Yeah,
it's been a bit. But we're wandering around, and there's some poor humble Nissan has had a twin turbocharged LS8 put in, and you go, oh come! Just to do that without no factory budget or anything else, but just to do it on your own, to engineer that kind of stuff. Tiger and all those guys will absolutely fill on a par with that, because it's the same thing. Let's do something different. Let's do something different. And drifting is about that. If it's about anything, it's about trying to be different from anybody else and everybody else.
Talking about doing something different, Kevin, you were doing something different in Holland.
Yeah.
Driving for once. How was that? Just try and think back to a couple of weeks. I know you've been incredibly busy, but in the mix in an open four-wheel drive, it was super competitive, wasn't it? And I have to say, amazing racing between you, Nicholas Gronholm, Lucas Anderson, Ollie Eriksson. Good respect between you, and some great pace.
I had a lot of fun. It's been a while since I had that much fun, doing the racing. The pace was there for sure. I won the qualifying. It felt good. But, Niklas, he outstarted me always, and he drove around me on the outside. I was like, oh no, Mr. Outside, get driven by by the outside. So I kind of felt I was rusty. Semi-final day 2, I braked too late into the hairpin, and I kind of kind of, I didn't stop the engine, but I couldn't really keep it up. And then obviously Lucas for sure goes for it and touched me, and I broke the whole upright. So I was like, okay, from being on the front row in the final, I missed it. So, but I had fun, and that, for me that was really fun to see, because it made me want to do more races. That's maybe I haven't raced as much the last couple of years, and with kids and work and this, and it's been maybe too much, and I kind of said, okay, let's just do this for a while. But there I kind of get, I still have it, if you know what I mean.
It's an addiction, isn't it? And when you get a flavour for it, what are the chances of seeing you potentially do any of the other Rallyx rounds in Europe this year?
I would say high. We are sending some cars now to America as well, because obviously Rallyx in America is starting in Crandon in June, with a back-to-back in Eldora, which will be fun. So we have good momentum there, so we need to get some more FC2 cars over there. But in total, now it's 27 cars, I think, ready. So there are cars everywhere. I think I will have 3 left, that I kind of have, and Oliver and Siri now obviously is one, and Niklas have really liked it, and he's back here in Tierp, and we will probably see him some more events as well. And it looks like it's not fully done yet, but for Finland we might have another named return that's been in the OMC family, and in always from actually one of the first driver ever who won in Supercar Light. So that could be fun, because obviously the Supercar Light is the old chassis of the FC2. So we will see, but it looks like that could be happening for Finland. That is next week, so it's a lot of races now. I mean, it's too much almost.
But it's super busy, isn't it? And actually trying to fit in, putting a helmet on and just turning everything else off, that must actually be the hardest thing, because every time you go, I've got to go to the car, but I've got these 12 WhatsApp messages and 16 emails all wanting an answer now, but.
That's been my problem. Some people are really good at just, okay, I forget about that, and I wasn't the last couple of years, so.
Drivers can't multitask. They're too dead ahead. But it is a place of tranquility, isn't it? Once you get in certainly in a supercar with that sort of performance, once you're on the grid, you can't worry about all the issues that people have in the paddock. It's and as a driver, and I'm sure it's the same for you actually. Once you get out there, it's a single focus thing, isn't it? And it's actually a comfortable place to be, isn't it?
I mean, it's like you say. I mean, the cars, the supercars. Every time I jump into the FC1, I mean, I can say it to the world, and no one knows it probably, but I even hit the tire bank the first lap ever I did yesterday with FC1, just to do some passenger runs. So I forget how fast it was. I haven't been in it for like a year. And I was like, I was smiling, but then, shit, it's a turn here. So it's like you say, these cars are fast. It happens so fast, everything. So you need to be on it, and especially at the level that we have had, the drivers, it's extremely high level overall. What I raced in America against, especially Robin, that was really, but Fraser McConnell and all these guys, we kind of stepped it up. And before that, it was with the World RX, it was the Ekstroms and the Solbergs and all of that. So I've been privileged to race against the very best, which is of course great. So it's been fun, and now I get my hunger back. So we see what I go. I want to do some more races for sure, and for sure the FC1 in America would be really fun. So
let's have a chat about this afternoon. The semi-finals coming up for open four-wheel drive. Oliver's obviously been quick. He's quick every time he gets into an FC2 car, isn't he? He's maybe had some poor fortune at different times. He overcooked it into the final corner yesterday, where you were standing just next to us in the studio and had your head in your hands again. I'm sure your little brother's hardest critic sometimes. It's going to be close, isn't it, in the semis and finals? What do you think is likely to unfold? Because there's some young talent rising through, and clearly Nicholas, Timmy, Oliver, very experienced.
I mean, you could see it. I mean, obviously Timmy, he jumped into the car for the first time ever yesterday. But he won Q3, so I mean, he's Timmy Hansen. He's one of very few world champions in rallycross. He figured it out fast. New track, new car, won Q3. So he's for sure one to watch. Oliver, like you said, I've been very impressed by him now for especially his like racing. Like when he starts racing, he kind of opposite to me. But also Niklas, I must say, I'm really impressed. Like his pace has been really good on track here. I don't think he's been here before, so I was impressed that he was really fast on the free practices. Casper, he's there. He's fast. Lucas Andersson as well. I mean, I raced them in Holland. Now they are fast. You have to be pushing 101% to beat them. So it will be fun to see what happens.
Nicholas's rallying he's been doing over the winter surely helps that sort of seat time thing, much like the folk race. It's just being sharp, isn't it? And I guess that makes the difference when you've been at the workshop dealing with everything you have to deal with, and he's been doing a lot of testing, a lot of rally driving. That can only help, can't it?
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, you see now, I love spec cars because you see, I mean, you can see who are the best. And I mean, you can see, yes, Niklas and Timmy have been now top 3 in the World Championship the last 4 or 5 years, I think. So, but you can also see, like, for example, someone like Lucas Andersson, who's done the full ladder, that, you know, he is fast. Casper Jansson the same. You see the talent that is coming, and obviously Rallyx, we have really focused on the talent and the juniors and getting those next stars. So it's fun to see that even if the big names coming, they have to fight for it. So.
Amazing debut for Lucas in Holland. Yes, it meant that your suspension was broken in the semis, but he's made that transition, hasn't he? He went from junior straight to Supercar Lights, spent a couple of years in Supercar Lights because team manager Joel Kristoffersson felt that he needed to stay there to do more learning, and he could have moved up after the first year, but really that second year in Lights, even though he didn't get the title because it was so competitive, it's all about what you learn on your bad days as much as your good days. And actually when it came to Holland, he had good pace and it ran with him, didn't it, on the second day, and scored an amazing victory. So that experience you learn on the ladder, as you call it, is critical.
I mean, we've had great talent. I mean, you look at Johnny Tierp, and he came in as a cross car junior here, as one of the kids, as we call them. He was on the podium in the European Championship, I think, now, and won qualifying heat. So we've had a really, really strong group of drivers here coming up the ranks, and it's going to be interesting to see who are the next ones.
I'm sure you've got lots more to do than stand here chatting to us. So if you need to go, then
yeah,
feel free, Kevin. Thank you for joining us.
Cool.
And
thank you very much.
We'll catch up.
And enjoy the racing. I will, for sure.
We definitely
Cheers,
will.
Kevin.
We definitely will. And while we've been talking, actually, just looking out of the window, I mean, you're not seeing it on camera, but we are. You can see in the centre the 2 drag strips are still absolutely mirror wet, but the tarmac on either side, which is the surface we're racing on, it's not as wet as it was. It is still damp. I still think if you're a cross-car junior, you're going to have to be a little bit cautious of it in the first braking area. But it's going to be very different. Not 1 second have they run on a damp track. So
there's no reference at all, is there? You're
none,
right. So
none.
The first braking into the first corner, you've got to be pretty...
Hero or zero time, isn't it?
I was going to say tentative, but there's no room for... Is tentativity what it is now? There's no room for tentativity. And... yeah, there's some super competitive drivers in the first semi-final that we will see shortly.
If it's intermediates or slicks, you're still starting on intermediates. You can see how it's very damp on the inside on that sort of different coloured patch, but there is rubber down. The advantage is that as it starts to get a few more cars going over it, that rubber will become more grippy surface, and tyres grip rubber rather than the road more efficiently. But to start with, and the reason why the drag strip is a mirror and it looks just like sort of ice is because water sits on top of rubber and does not drift away down into the pore of the asphalt. So not only is the drag strip not quite as coarse as the asphalt we're racing on, you can see it doesn't drain particularly well because if it's wet, they're not sending 1,000 horsepower slick shod monsters up the quarter mile. So the drag strip is just absolutely solid rubber. That's why the water's not draining away particularly quickly. Concrete walls obviously have those little gaps in for the water to come out. But on the loose as well, first couple of laps, that's going to be greasy as you like as well. And the jump isn't straight. As you can see, you have to come over, left-right flick over the jump, and that's going to pitch you off to the outside if you're not very careful. So there's really only about 2 corners on the entire track where there's not a concrete wall just waiting to suck you in. You can hear engines already running as our cross-car juniors get ready for the first of their 2 semi-finals. The cross-cars lining up there as well. So we'll have 24 of these cars over the 2 categories. Identical machinery. The juniors have a lower rev limit on the 600cc motorcycle engines in their cars. It's not a spec engine, but there is a rev limit to limit the power. And the regular cross-car drivers, the non-juniors, seniors if you like, anybody else. You don't have to be a senior citizen to drive one, you just can be over 16. The juniors from the age of 13 upwards can compete in cross-car. And again, it's a great opportunity to get involved in a sport as a youngster. You know, you're barely into secondary school and you can be competing on the same track as world champions. And you don't get that in almost anything else. The only other thing really in motorsport where you compete at that sort of age would be in karting. And traditionally, a cadet kart will not be on the same race track at the same time as the top of the tree. So you don't get that youth element in rallying, in stage rallying. You don't get it in motor racing either. So Rallycross is unique in having this very much younger first step on the ladder available to drivers. And again, you can be sharing the same track, you can be in the same paddock as, you can actually be operated out of the same awning as a world champion in if that's the way that it works. Most of the teams don't tend to be running a whole host of different categories, but it does give you the opportunity to study other drivers out of the car as well as in the car, and that's all part of, I think, how the spirit of the sport stays alive. Is you watch what your heroes are doing and you try and emulate it as either a young fan, as lots here are, or as a young driver, as a number are, particularly in the juniors. So cross-car juniors will be the first of our semi-finals. So 2 semis for them, and then 2 semis for the cross cars. And they are 2 of only 3 categories who will require semi-finals because of the whopping size of the entry. So cars heading to the grid. Just Toivio, the red and white kind of a 66, starts 3rd on the grid, but it is Ivari Manisto, the yellow and white, who will be the man on pole position. Sebastian is etc. will line up alongside him on row 1 of the grid. Then the red and white of Matthias Toivio and Sigge Rinaldo, the first of the Swedish entries. Car number 10, you can see him heading away from us on row 2, and the final row of the grid will be 2 further Swedes, Olle Stromberg and Oliver Lundmark. Ready for the first of our semi-finals here in Tierp, and it is the first of 2 semi-finals for Cross-Car Junior, with Ivari Manisto and Sebastian Isaksecha on row 1, Matthias Toivio and Sigge Rinaldo row 2, Olle Stromberg and fellow Swede Oliver Lundmark on row 3. So 4th, 5th and 6th from Sweden, 1st and 3rd on the grid from Finland, and on the right of the front row, the 3rd car from your left is the only Norwegian here, and that is Sebastian Isaksetra. So Martin Haven, Hal Ridge, ready to watch the action with you. Grid all in position. All the drivers seem to be happy. So we are ready to go. 1,485 metres of the Tierp Arena, and away we go. Good strong start from the pole man Manisto, but Isaksecha with a good run, and through from row 2 of the grid comes Toivio. It's going to be 3 wide into the braking area. Toivio's still there, but it is the pole man Manisto who has the lead from 4th place, overcooking it on the brakes. Somebody was always going to.
Isaksecha from wide as well there on the exit, stuck against the wall. What a shame for Sebastian Isaksecha after such a strong start to the year. Manisto was so brave on the brakes, Martin, given how little knowledge they had of the grip into the first corner. They did a warm-up this morning, but that was in bone-dry conditions. The cross cars popping around as they go across that first loose surface section. He's etc. He's going nowhere quickly in the wall on the outside. Massive understeer from, that is Ronaldo, isn't it?
Yeah, Ronaldo was second, understeers his way on, but around the outside is 66 Toivio, and he just dropped a wheel onto the dirt, and that just sucked him way up the banking, so he dropped back down to third place. Now he looks like from fourth place we got a joker. Was that Oliver Lundmark? I think it was, who was in fourth, but it is Ivario Manisto, the leader, and flying away at the head of this little pack.
Big pressure for Ronaldo on his Rallyx debut, and I think for many of these young drivers, or anyone new to the paddock, actually racing yesterday and then having an overnight to have a think about it, it's probably a little bit easier as an introduction rather than doing a whole event in a single day, or a whole round in a single day, as we will be doing tomorrow, and is the norm. Normally, Manisto clearly out front though, 2.7 seconds the gap when they cross the line.
So unless they make mistakes, it is about these three. It's Ola Stromberg, in fact, in fourth place. Oliver Lundmark is the only other car moving. Sebastian is etc. The Norwegian is buried in the first corner. Barrison again, drifting out wide. Car number 10, Siga Ronaldo. This time, Matthias Toivio. Now he jokers.
Great decision, really sensible to get out of the traffic, because that battle was only going to lose you time. In the background, Stromberg had been in, although he's lost a whole heap of time there somewhere out of our shot at the top of the course. And now this is all about Ronaldo trying to nail the best possible lap he can to increase the margin. But jokering first does have its advantages here, doesn't it? Because you have the inside line to the left-hander as a penultimate corner. You also carry that extra momentum. And even if you had the racing line, when you're the slower car rejoining the circuit, it's always going to be tricky to defend. So very wise joker strategy from Toivio, and we will see what the difference is between the pair's laps this time around. The gap was 4 seconds exactly when they crossed the line.
That should be what you need, or was yesterday in the dry, to do a joker and still come out with your nose in front. I think in the wet, not sure what the differential is going to be.
It'll be so category dependent though, won't it? Because you're so much slower through the joker in some classes to others. It's nowhere near enough this time around, but I think actually Toivio gained a lot of ground as well. So that 4 seconds, we don't have a split in the middle of the lap here, so it's very difficult to tell on time at least how much that gap had closed, but certainly we can see the gap for the race leader Manisto is absolutely gargantuan. 8.6 seconds, although yet to do the joker, is going to be very comfortable indeed. And actually Ronaldo's coming back at Toivio here. So often easier to follow, isn't it, than to lead, and you can see where the grip is.
Yeah, so much more so. And yeah, when you're following, you don't have the pressure of somebody being right behind you, and that's what Matthias Toivio has. But Siga Ronaldo in third place. Here's our race leader, Ilvari Manisto. 2 to go at the end of this one. Does he joker now? He does. Sort of almost looked like he was in two minds about it. But he has jokered, and I think that makes it fairly straightforward for him. The big speed differential when you rejoin off the joker lap, not so much a factor here because he had plenty of time in hand, but the little mirrors on these cars, you're not going to see the guy coming who's not jokered. If you're at the exit of the joker lap, you're just going to have to breathe in and absolutely nail it on the exit. So having jokered Manisto on the last lap, big slide from Toivio, and Ronaldo also looking like he might be competing in the Swedish Drift Championships this weekend. Ola Stromberg, fourth place, but he's not going to be close unless one of these has an issue on the final lap, mechanically or otherwise. I think they've made enough mistakes, each of them, for that not to be an issue. Stromberg will be fourth. Oliver Lundmark is still going, but some way back in fifth position. So over the brow and dropping back down from the bowl comes Ilvari Manisto. Matthias Toivio holding on nicely. They're starting to be a bit braver riding the curbs as well than they were on the opening couple of laps. But for everybody, in the semis, it is going to be a voyage of discovery. Checker flag is out. Manisto by how much? It was 4.6 at the end of the previous lap.
Fastest lap of the race though for Toivio on the penultimate tour of a 1:05.1. So I would say that the conditions have stabilised, and while absolutely what the event doesn't want with all the great things it's got going on, I would love to see a bit more rain just to mix the grip levels up a bit, but that's just being a little bit selfish. Let's have a look back at the replay package. Manisto, we didn't quite see it there, but Manisto was the bravest of the brave into the first corner. That's where Etcetra's front suspension was broken. What a shame for Etcetera, because never outside the top 5 in qualifying, and had a good starting position there. But the best thing about double headers is you're back tomorrow.
Oliver Lundmark, the Swede, going around the outside, staying completely out of harm's way, and then Etcetera just sort of blocked the road in front of him, so that didn't help him very much. Again, this bowl, this banked bowl, if you're tight on the inside line, there's grip, but it is very easy to over-rotate. You can actually see that the loose there is starting, they've got rid of the damp surface. A comfortable win in the end for Ilvari Manisto. So the Finn at the top of the pile. Matthias Toivio goes through as well, and Siga Ronaldo will join them. So first, third and fourth on the grid, with the unfortunate Etcetera. Again, we'll have to write that one off to experience. And it was an ambitious, I don't think it was an ambitious move, I just think it was miscalculation from behind that caught him out. Nothing he could have done about it, he didn't see it coming. That was quite a scary shot there, it looked like it was coming in at head height. It absolutely wasn't, but Etcetera, he's got enough experience here that he'll be able to put that behind him. Again, he just got squeezed there from the move, actually from in front. Nothing much he could have done about that. Suspension broken in the first corner. Now you can see that left front wheel hanging loose there. And plainly, no chance whatsoever of continuing. He must have seen and felt all of that and just gone, okay, I'll just sit in the car out of harm's reach. Back to the awning. By the time they're sitting down for tea tonight, that will be fully replaced.
That's the thing with the cross cars, is they're so modular. It's yes, they're expensive. Everything's expensive, especially in these days. But it's hundreds of euros for parts, and yeah, it'll be minutes. The worst thing there will be if it's split the brake line, because they'll have to bleed the brakes. But if the brake line's okay, dampers are expensive, but they will carry spares. You can see where the wishbone's broken. But yeah, as long as it hasn't ripped out the chassis, which needs a bit of welding, that'll obviously take a little bit more time. But generally, it'll be not long at all until that's ready to go. And it's an early finish today, isn't it, relative to a normal Rallyx event, because there's all sorts of other stuff going on, folk race and drifting tonight, so actually they finish a bit earlier and they've got more time to do it. So
and we did half a today yesterday for exactly that reason. So, second of our semi-finals then, from the front of the grid, 48, Alex Antila with Jere Huka alongside with the yellow nose. Then row 2, Pito Matalamaki and Liam Hag, and Oni Kangasaho, I knew I'd go Japanese on that, and Dominio Peramaki on row 3. So 5 Finns and 1 Swede. The chances of a Finn getting through, I think, are exceedingly high here, but which Finns will it be? By rights, you would think Antila and Huka from the front row have the best chance, but again, it is still slippery out the window, and that's where they have to go. So there's your view again of what is quite a sharp left-hand corner, with a concrete wall looming in front of you and then alongside you. Away we go, the second of our semi-finals for the Cross Car Juniors, and another good start from the second row of the grid. And that third starting position looks like it might be quite favourable. In fact, that's Liam Hag, 43, with the yellow highlights, in second place from 4th on the grid this time. But it is Alex Antila who has the lead.
Great start for Huka as well.
It's Huka in front, you're right.
Who, yeah, like you say, so often we see that in Rallycross, because you start 5 abreast all weekend on the front row, you lay down all the rubber, and when it rains, the second and third grid slots really are where the grip is, and I think we've seen a good example of that now.
So Antila from pole in second place as they drift around the bowl, and Liam Haag in third spot.
These drivers, of course, won't have seen any of this, whereas anyone coming in any of the next races will be able to watch the stream from the first of the junior cross cars. But these drivers have been in the grid for a while, so they won't have been able to watch the broadcast and see where the grip is. But there's definitely a cleaner, drier line coming already. It was supposed to be torrential, the rain this afternoon. Oh, backing it in on the brakes is Hukar, just feeling for the grip. Great car control skills from these young drivers.
Was that design or accident? I mean, well held either way.
Design, I would say, because you know you're on the brakes early enough not to run terribly wide, but you've got that little bit of breathing room on the outside of it. Alex Antila coming at Hukar now over the loose, and these drivers are so used to racing each other in finish events at home, much like they will next weekend in Rallyx. Oh, there's been contact in the background.
Well, that is a golden ticket for Perimäki, who jokered at the end of the first lap.
Matalamaki.
That was Haag and Matalamaki, wasn't it? That was the battle for third place, and the joker is Antila this time round. So Hukar still clean and out in fresh air.
I would joker from the lead if I had the gap, but in junior cross car that's tricky because you don't necessarily know what the margins are. But certainly, as we see the other classes later on in terms of cross car senior and supercar lights, open four-wheel drive, I would joker from the lead if you know the gap's there and you know you've got good pace, because then you have the inside and the overlap speed at the merge. It'll be interesting to see if or who plays that card later on this afternoon.
Well, Antila there was, I think he felt bottled up a little behind Jere Hukar, and so he jokered. Hukar has still to joker, 2 to go at the end of this. And Hukar with, what did he have? 4.6 seconds at the end of the previous lap. So it's starting to look like he's got enough. Perimäki, who jokered at the end of lap 1 from 6th position, suddenly that clash, Liam Haag and Oni Kanegasho, Kangasaho, has worked very well for
Hukar's
him.
in the joker this time around, and it just doesn't have the traction. You can see the clean line there, but what a lap from Antila. So far the best lap of the race had been a 1:05.376 from Hukar. I am sure that Antila's best lap now, as he crosses the line, is about to smash that, because that was exactly the sort of lap you need. It wasn't, it was 1:05.7, but it was obviously that much better than the lap that Hukar was able to do that has made the difference.
And as so often, if you watch Formula One, it's not your pit stop time, it's your in lap, your out lap, it's the total amount of time you lose, and Antila lost less. And maybe he just had the lines right going into the joker, and Hukar maybe overcooked it. It's very easy. We've seen people going onto the joker lap and actually skating into the wall on the joker lap as well. Hukar didn't do that, but that means that Alex Antila now moves up into the lead, a lead he will hold. He's got 1 to go, and from here, Jere Hukar is not going to catch him in terms of pace. Whether he can catch him in terms of Antila making a mistake or not remains to be seen. Perimäki is not all over for third place, not quite yet. Kangasaho in 4th, but
the gap's
probably
big, isn't it?
and they've jokered, so Kangasaho is going to have to hope for a bit of frailty either from driver or vehicle to get that third place. But at the moment, Alex Antila, Jere Hukar and Perimäki are the top 3. Perimäki not by much, can't afford to overdo it at any point, or he will lose that spot on the back row of the final. Nicely judged race from Antila, made a good start. Didn't make the best, perhaps, of being on pole position, but again, so much of that is not allowing that to get to you and then thinking ahead rather than cursing what you should have done, because you can't affect the past, you can only affect the future. And he did a really good job of that.
It's a mental game, all of this, isn't it? It's
100%.
just, it's so in your head, because the vast majority of these guys have got enough talent to do well. It's how you deal with that and how you deal with all of the irregular scenarios.
Perämäki just holding on. Antila heading towards the checkered flag. Huka will come across the line in second place, not far behind. And for third place, Minea Perämäki with those pink highlights on the top of the car. He is the first to emerge, and so will take that final spot. Repetition of final there. So he gets the third position. He will be on the back row for the Crosscar Junior final. So again, not the greatest start from pole position. 3 wide down into the first turn, and in the end, Jiro Huka a little bit king of the outside line there, just kept away from all the other fast-moving machinery. Perämäki at that stage up to 4th place, and then after he jokered, a collision between Haag and Matalamäki, dropping them out of contention.
So often you see the outside line work like that, don't you? Because you can just feel the grip that bit more than where the rubber's been down on the inside where everyone's been driving all weekend.
That's absolutely true, and in most racing you'd say the karting line, yeah, trying to stay away from where the rubber is, which is counterintuitive in the dry. You want to be on the rubbered up line because that's where the grip is, because tyres stick to tyre better than they stick to road. But Antila winning that one, so he will be on the front row as well. Having just started his semi on the front row, Alex Antila will be on row 1 for the final. Jiro Huka and Minea Perämäki will go through with him. So they will continue, the top 3 in each of the 2 semis. Everybody else will have to head back to the awning and have a little bit of think, have a bit of a talk to themselves in a couple of cases. I don't think there was anybody there that really dropped the ball obviously in terms of driving errors. As we said, it can't underline, I think, enough that this is the only time they have driven on anything other than a bone dry surface, and I think we're going to see the same in Crosscar. I think we're going to see the same in everything else, that it's going to be slightly different from what they've been used to. So heading into the first of our 2 semi-finals here for Crosscar in round 1, day 1 here in Tierp. Tomsik Mustad on pole position. The Norwegian has compatriot Espen Isaksetra alongside. He'll be hoping for a little better luck. Oliver Lucas Jensen, the Dane, lies 3rd. Jans Baumanns from Latvia 4th on the grid. And Charles Simon Rosmalm and Matthias Elland on row 3. Away we go. Now Mustad with the red and blue, not the strongest start. And bottled up, he's going to be 3rd or 4th into turn 1. Now who survives here, who over-rotates? Mustad is the one who makes the mistakes. Will come out in 4th, maybe even 5th position out of the chicane, because he can't afford to interlock wheels there.
He's etc. with the best of the getaways again. That front row not really being the place you want to be, although he's etc. made it work. Mick Mustad just didn't get the launch, and then in the traffic of the first couple of corners it hasn't worked out at all, has it?
No, I think you're absolutely right. Pole position is where there has been somebody in every qualifying.
Oh, what a move though from Tomsik Mustad up the inside, running the inside wheel against the grass. Jokers this time around, and is followed as well. That's critical for him not to get caught in the traffic a bit later on. There's another car in the gap. They'll really hope that that will indeed joker to get out of the way. But Ig Mustad using all of his experience, the reigning champion, to get up the inside. Critical move.
So Isaksetra leading from Oliver Jensen is the white car, and then the red and maroon of Latvia, Jans Baumanns. So Mustad jokering there. He was followed in by Matthias Edlund. And so Edlund won't be a problem for him, and actually I think Rosmalm is just far enough ahead that even if he doesn't joker for a couple of laps, then Mustad will be able to maintain his own pace. Whether that is enough to offset the deficit of Isaksetra, Jensen and Baumanns there closing in on the white car of Jensen in 2nd place. on the first half of this lap. Is he going to joker now? Yes, he does. See how they're squirming under braking because there's even less drier surface available there, and he comes out in front of Merstad, and that might be critical. Merstad right with the Latvian, but critically for Baumanns, he got it out in front of Merstad. So the top two go away, etc. and Jensen, and that will leave Simon Rosmalm in third place, but yet to joker. So now it's a battle of these two, Baumanns and Merstad, who finishes in front and whether they can cover off Rosmalm when he jokers.
Baumanns, critical joker there. The only reason for that was to try and cover off Thomas Merstad. Yannis Baumanns, not the former World Championship driver, a different one for those wondering at home. Very experienced in cross car. I've seen Baumanns competing several times when we've been to Riga and in other places as well.
And this works really well for Baumanns because Jensen was all over the back of his etc., which means that his etc. couldn't really focus. What about the crossover? The white car, Jensen
miles away. There's no way that gap was going to get closed. Jensen though now under pressure from Rosmalm, who's in no man's land, having not jokered, so really will drop out of contention here. Jensen though and Baumanns set to go through at the moment unless things change. These etc. with a 4.6 second margin at the front of the order should be safe at that if he can have a clean lap, and I would absolutely joker now as Rosmalm runs wide.
Yeah, nice move by Baumanns. He came up the inside there, he saw the man in front slowing down. Actually, I think Rosmalm might have a bit of a problem there because he went very slowly around the hairpin. So Isaac Setra, he'll have had a quick glance in the mirrors, nobody behind me, don't make a mess of this. Doesn't have to joker this lap, decides to anyway. So
well, he was under such pressure from Jensen. I think you've almost got to try and cover off.
Oh, and Jensen's got the speed. Can he get there? Can he get there? No, he can't quite. He's etc. The blue and red just keeping in front of Jensen, but it is not over. This might be a fun last lap. This might all fall into Baumanns' lap.
I think he's etc.'s experienced enough to put the car in the right place. Jensen also an experienced campaigner who won't risk something untoward with a slot on the second row for the final later on. But talking of experienced campaigners, just not going right for Thomas Merstad this season. He dropped it while on for victory in a semi-final in Holland and ended in the gravel trap, didn't make it through. A tough start to the year for Thomas Merstad, who is looking to move up into open four-wheel drive sooner rather than later. Etc. though doing exactly what he needs to do at the front of the field.
Yeah, just keeping his nose clean, staying ahead of Jensen, and made a nice clean joker lap as well. That was critical. Any error there and Jensen would have had this one. So Baumanns in third place and closing a little on them as well. Jensen with the fastest lap last time round, trying to cover off that joker, but Isaac Setra has the win, and his last lap was his best. And Jans Baumanns comes across the line in third place. Thomas Merstad in fourth, but a way back. And then Matthias Edlund. And so, yeah, it looks like Rosmalm did have an issue when that car stopped. Isaac Setra from pole position on the far left-hand side. Thomas Merstad on the right-hand side. Other way round, beg your pardon. Isaac Setra from the outside. But Merstad got tagged from behind there, and that was Rosmalm who had that problem later on. I wonder if that was related to that, and that allowed Oliver Lucas Jensen, the white car, into second, chased by Jans Baumanns, and early on Baumanns looked like the one to make the move, and then Merstad and Edlund jokered from fourth and fifth. Baumanns couldn't make enough of the joker, but then as Rosmalm had that problem, it did look like maybe that was a steering or suspension issue that slowed him dramatically. Then Isaac Setra just managing to get the joker done without having Jensen completely alongside him and taking the checkered flag. First, second, third across the line, covered by a second or so. So Isaac Setra from Oliver Lucas Jensen, Jans Baumanns. I had the line 2.3 back, so my visual maths isn't that great. Thomas Merstad, though, no final for him today. But again, as we talked about with Crosscar Junior, they're coming back to do it again tomorrow. So reset and go again. And go again for our second semi. Carl Svedlund and Erik Steinsholt on the front row of the grid. But Rick Kahuka, car number 2, makes the lightning start. Who's going high, wide and handsome around the outside? That's an ambitious run, and if the gap had stayed open, that might have been good for second place.
It did stay open on the inside. Vettel squeezing up the inside of JC Race Technic teammate Carl Svedlund for second. Look at the dirt coming off the back of Hukar's car. Those later grid stops really are working on their tree, and Svedlund running second and third at the moment. Both of those drivers were very quick in Holland just a few weeks ago. But Rico Hukar, perfectly clean front of his buggy, was quick in warm-up this morning. They've only been out on track for a couple of laps since qualifying finish yesterday afternoon, and not in these conditions. So
no, warm-up was dry, wasn't it?
But it's drier now, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of moisture in the loose, but the dust is kicking up again at the moment, although the skies are darkening above us, and I do think there's some spots. There are some spots of rain.
On the camera lens.
Yeah. And on the window behind us as well, Martin.
Yeah.
So that is good for the action, if nothing else.
Hal Ridge gets his wish. So Rico Hukar, Vettel and Carl Svedlund.
Hukar flying up front. The first lap, I think, will almost certainly be quicker on lap time, with it being a straight run from the start line across the line. But he did a 58.7 on his opening lap. The best lap in the previous race was a 58.8 by Jensen, and that was mid-race. So we'll see what the Hukar's mid-race lap times are like. Of course, it doesn't really matter what the pace is like at the moment, because it's all about finishing in the top 3 to progress through to the final later on this afternoon. But you also want to run away as quickly as you can to mitigate for any problems that you might experience later in the race.
The only slight thing is that we've seen all of the leaders come from row 2 of the grid. So do you actually want to give away the lead on the...
Yeah, I don't. So often I think we've seen in different championships where you can select your grid position. People have chosen the outside, people have chosen what is assumed to be a weird option, but actually I don't think you give away pole, because pole's so strong generally. You don't know what the weather's going to do later on. That's a massive send at the bottom of the straight. I think that was Steinsholt, was it? Spilling maybe. That was very, very sideways indeed. 58.2 though on that second tour for Hukar, who did indeed go quicker than the first lap without the traffic in the first couple of corners to worry about.
Only 2 cars jokered, and they were on lap 1, and that was Erik Steinsholt and Hannes Haag, who has since pulled off. So everybody else with 2 laps in which to do their joker, and that's Svedlund from 3rd place. Now here comes Spilling, flying by, absolutely no question at all about that one.
Spilling yet to joker though, so that will be a de facto top 3 for Svedlund when the joker strategies play out. What Svedlund can't afford to do now, and this is the experience of the JC Race Technic team, is to lose his head while following a car you're not directly racing against. But it's Svedlund's teammate who's going quickest. Vettel 57.9 last time around, trying to close the gap to Hukar, but also trying to close the gap enough to be comfortably out ahead of teammate Svedlund at the joker merge.
Spilling also having his own fastest lap of the race. That was a 58.1 compared to the 57.9 of Vettel. Hukar. So is Tree going to joker if Hukar doesn't? Yeah, alternate strategy. So Hukar goes in, so Tree must stay out really.
And that's exactly what I was talking about earlier, is going early if you're the leader, because you do have the advantage on the main lap later on, and the gap's there. Critically, the gap is, there's a window to fall into. What you don't want to do generally is to fall into a window where there's a lot of traffic. Svedlund runs a bit deep there, but has climbed back up to 3rd, with Spilling being in and out of the joker section.
So Hukar there, having jokered, Vettel. Hukar was 6 seconds ahead of the battle for 3rd place, so that gave him plenty of time to come in, clear air, and that should work for our current race leader, Vettel as well. Last lap, obviously no option but to joke. You can see how bouncy it is. These relatively softly sprung cross cars really showing, as you transition onto the loose before the jump, how much the car is having to deal with the undulations. And here we go, onto the joker lap for the leader, and Rico Hukar will come straight by. So Vettel, despite still having the fastest lap, didn't have enough on the last one to be able to cover off the man who led early on, Rico Hücker. He leads it to the checkered flag. Vettel in second place, and third at the line will be Carl Svedland. So Eric Steinsholt and Ollie Christer Spilling, fourth and fifth, and no finish for Hannes Haag. Again, watch that yellow nose of car number 2 from second on the grid. Rico Hücker getting in right down the centre of the front row starters. We saw a couple of times in qualifying runs the man on pole position, driver on pole position, moving over to the left to try and shut the door on a flat 4 or 5 car front row. That's going to be even more important if you are worried about the threat from behind from row 2 of the grid. Rico Hücker with the win there as we get into our first semi-final for FC2 cars, open 4-wheel drive semi-final and FC2. Oliver Eriksson and Niklas Gronholm on the front row of the grid, Lucas Andersson and Emil Nielsen on row 2, and the Estonian Romet Sierna on row 3. With his back to us, the white nose, the black rear. He's had some fairly lurid sideways moments in the dry. Let's see how lurid and sideways he gets in the wet. And from row 2, look for the blue nose, the pale blue nose maybe of Anderson, because that seems, third on the grid, seems to be the fun slot for a quick getaway. Oliver Eriksson and Niklas Gronholm with the red and black nose, and yeah, straight through the middle from row 2 comes Lucas Anderson, but he gets buried in the pack and into the wall.
Nason on the outside, just locked up under braking. Anderson had nowhere to go, but is now up the inside. Ollie Eriksson has waved goodbye and gone at the front of the order. Anderson side by side with Niklas Gronholm, can't find a way through. Romet Sierna's come out of that well as well, but Ollie Eriksson using all of his experience. It was 4 wide into the opening corner. Lucas Anderson had an amazing start, just had nowhere to go.
Yeah, just bizarre. Yeah, got shuffled right back. And from the back of the field, Romet Sierna, the white and black machine, in second place, he said. So that it all paid out very nicely for him. He did make an aggressive start, got through, and it's Gronholm who jokers on lap 1. So Niklas Gronholm taking the joker early on. And Emil Nielsen looked like he has continued. Whether he continues all the way or not remains to be seen. Oliver Eriksson having a very much better start to competition on Saturday than he did on Friday. Romet Sierna in second. Chris Anderson now with Niklas Gronholm behind him, but Gronholm and Emil Nielsen having jokered.
A variety of tyres being used here. Just been WhatsApping various members of the paddock. So the OMSE cars are on wet tyres. You can also tell that by the fact that Ollie Eriksson's using white wheels. He would normally have black wheels on that machine. Romet Sierna also on wets too. I don't think Lucas Anderson though is using wet tyres at the moment, and that would have really helped if that area of the grid is dry enough for the dry Nova tyre to work well. Good merge here from Niklas Gronholm to get ahead, having already been into the joker on the previous tour, so that has shuffled Romet Sierna back. Romet stepping up to 4-wheel drive machinery from Crosscar for this year, and it's in these sort of conditions where that transition is so tough. When it's changeable, you're hunting the grip and you're just not used to the car moving around in such a way underneath you. Lucas Anderson under pressure here from Niklas Gronholm, and a driver like Niklas Gronholm with his wealth of experience in rallycross and more recently rallying as well will be really at home in these conditions relative to the newcomers to this class.
And he has jokered and Lucas Anderson hasn't. So actually Romet Sierna, as Gronholm gets badly held up here by Anderson, Romet Sierna still looking as a strong contender for that final spot in the final. Oliver Eriksson has just jokered, Lucas Anderson has yet to. And of course now that is really going to relegate him because he's not with the leader, didn't stay in front of him, and he's got Niklas Gronholm and Romet Sierna so close behind that he can't possibly do the joker that he still has to do and remain in front.
Runs right to the wall on the outside of the final corner. Ollie Eriksson's fastest by some margin on a 55.9 as his best lap. Groningen was never going to get on the back of Ericsson, given how close they are matched on ultimate pace. But yeah, he would have liked to have been ahead of Anderson earlier on. Not really going to matter though. And like you say, this race is really between Anderson and Cerner for the final podium spot. The gap is, well, I would say, not enough in Anderson's favour at the moment.
No, not close.
Anderson has to go again here just to try and increase the margin. Anderson, is it raining more? Because Anderson being on dry tyres will be losing out, especially in that long right-hander and on the braking if it's getting that bit greasier. And the way that Anderson's tentative on the brakes, just looking back here, yeah, so Anderson's definitely on dry tyres. I've had it confirmed, and he's just not able to use the grip as he would like.
The tarmac is considerably drier than it has been, so
in places,
it's advantaging in some places, but actually there are more braking areas that are still slippery, more corners that are still slippery. Actually, even the loose is still looking relatively dry there.
Ericsson did another fastest lap last time around, a 55.7, so he's within himself at the moment. Groningen will be moving up to second when Anderson jokers on this final tour. The gap between Anderson and Cerner last time around was 2.5 seconds. I don't think it's going to be enough.
Not close to enough. Not close to enough. Cerner's, if he doesn't mess this up, car just going out of shot. Here we go. Cuts the chicane beautifully. Yeah. That you have so much more speed coming off that bank bowl. And the checkered flag is out. Oliver Ericsson absolutely put that one to bed. Nicholas Groningen in second. It will be Robert Cerner third at the checkered flag. Not by much from Lucas Anderson. He kind of lifted off as they got to the flag. And the pale blue nose, Lucas Anderson, made a really good start, didn't he? And then just banging and boring between everybody. And that gave Cerner almost a look at the lead.
That was a heavy impact for Nason on the outside. Got it all crossed up. That is a horrible feeling in a racing car when you're locked up like that and there's nowhere to go. This is the end of the race. Anderson held on valiantly for as long as he could on those dry tyres, but ultimately just didn't have the grip, and I suspect that Ericsson, Groningen and Cerner were all on wets, and ultimately you can see that it's still raining in the background with the wipers on. There's confirmation of the results. Ericsson, Groningen and Cerner go through to the final. Anderson and Nason don't. But yeah, I think the rain, it's falling much harder now actually out of the commentary box window. So that gamble on the dry tyres just not quite working out.
And that kind of also means that it slightly skews the difference between the two semis, because this one is not likely to be as fast with its fastest lap as well. So Kasper Janssen and Timmy Hansen with the red, white and black alongside him. Then Victor Christensen and Adam Oman, Mr. Sideways, and Tobias Darbach is the final car on the grid. Quad rushing down towards the hairpin. What's he coming? Oh, it really is pelting down outside snuff. Just turned around. Yeah, they're looking at the tyre barrier where.
So the impact was
Nason went. Yeah, I mean,
it's moved the concrete block behind. So I wonder if this is going to be a few moments while they tidy this up, or are they just going to move the tyres in such a way? There's a few of the track prep. Yeah, so there's a big machine down there at the moment moving the concrete walls around. This won't take long at all as we look. There's a great shot there of the fact that the start straight is not actually straight at all. You're looking at the wall and you can see the racing line there on the left hand side just above Adam Oman's car, where the tyre rubber has been laid down through the final corner. Wipers are all on now.
So now anybody on slicks is sitting there on the grid helpless as it rains more, and their choice is looking more zero than hero. So the JCB is in there and it will push the concrete walls back into position, and that will help to move the tyres. You see they've got conveyor belting around the outside as well, so the tyre wall is a kind of cohesive unit that still moves but absorbs the impact without tyres flying all over the place, and most critically doesn't allow cars to go in the gaps between the stacks of tyres. So this is going to be a good 10 or 15 minute delay, you would think, probably by the time.
Nah, 2 or 3 minutes. This is Rallycross, Martin.
It's been 2 or 3 minutes already. Those concrete walls are not moving yet.
They've moved 2 of them with the machine down the bottom. They just need to give that one that's at a funny angle a bit of a shove, and we'll be good to go. That's a good thing about the experience of these teams. Oh, I've had confirmation that Lucas Anderson was actually on wets, so it wasn't down to the tyre strategy at all. There was a bit of misinformation there. So yeah, the tyre offset was maybe Lucas just not being used to these conditions in that car, and that's totally understandable.
So maybe for events like this, the guys at Nova could spray blue Nova logos on the sidewall of a wet and white Nova logos on the sidewall of a dry tyre, so that the fans and the commentators would know immediately, people at home as well as on track could see at a glimpse. I mean, it's a common feature, obviously. If you watch Formula One, if you watch World Endurance or lots of other types of racing, you'll see different coloured sidewall lettering to indicate what compounded tyre is being used, and particularly when it's wet or dry conditions, or that unhappy medium between the two. Nobody minds so much if it's dry, nobody minds so much if it's really wet. It's when it won't make its mind up that you really struggle a lot more as a driver, because then you're never quite sure where you should be going. And you can guarantee if there's one driver and one engineer, there'll be two different ideas on what the choice is. And again, the problem here, as it has been for everybody so far, is that they have not turned a wheel other than coming to the grid on a wet surface, and that's not giving them much of an idea. Some expert work by the forklift truck driver. That's looking an awful lot better, and that gives you an indication. Not sure how many people it would actually take to move one of those concrete blocks. Gives you an indication of just the violence that Eric Nason hit them with. He was going pretty quickly, and as soon as he locked up, obviously didn't slow down at all, and in fact probably continued to pick up a bit of speed because of the inertia in the car. That looked like a significant welt. Must have properly winded him. The fact that he was able to continue, quite a surprise. So we are ready for the second of our semi-finals.
Amazing start from Timmy Hansen, covers the door on the run into the first corner. Casper Janssen looks to the outside. Hansen's gone deep on the brakes, runs the nose wide. Christensen on the inside. Janssen's trying to go wide, but there's a wall there and he'll have to lift. Christensen, great job. The lesser experienced driver slotting into P2, but Timmy Hansen, who went fastest in Q3 yesterday afternoon, using his experience from the front row of the grid there, clearly running wet tyres by the white wheels, and doing a solid job on his debut in the FC2.
Yeah, first time he's driven these cars, and first time he's driven these cars now in the rain, so Timmy Hansen's quality showing through. Made a good start from second place on the grid. Had a moment just out of touch and twanging off the penalty barrier, somebody there. Thomas Darbach jokers from the back of the pack. So it's Janssen and Christensen now really the battle with Oman to try and stay in the top three once they've made some space to choke. And Timmy Hansen will need to have his wits about him though, because the grip levels are changing with every corner, with every lap. That's where experience is going to really pay. Victor Christensen in second place.
And there was no one more experienced in four-wheel drive rallycross at the moment than Timmy Hansen. Did all but one of the World Rallycross Championship races ever. Just missed the final round in Turkey last year. Has been out of the seat for a little while. Been boat racing in the E1 series, but you don't forget how to ride a bike, do you? And while Timmy was saying he's rusty, hasn't been in the seat for a while, I'm sure when you get your semi-final head on in these situations, yes, the balance of the car is different from what he's used to. Yes, he hasn't driven on these tyres for a while, but you adapt to those scenarios, don't you? And actually there's this ingrained experience and knowledge and talent that he has that will be able to come through in these situations. And actually the fact that it's Victor Christensen running second, amazing job from the young Swede in the first couple of corners, has given him a bit of a reprieve as well, because Kasper Janssen, who's far more experienced and successful, is actually trying to deal with Christensen in front rather than getting after Hansen.
Yeah, and Janssen's going to have to joker now. You sort of feel that Victor Christensen in second place is holding him up. At a moment, just jokered and stayed ahead of Tobias Darbach, but neither of them are going to feature in the top three unless something goes wrong, really, in this battle for second place, or with Timmy Hansen. Hansen leading by 1.4 seconds at the end of the previous lap. That looks like it's extended a little, but I'm sure he will leave his joker last. Does Janssen joker now? No, Christensen does from ahead of Janssen. Janssen really cuts the corner over those curbs.
Great spotting from Christensen's spotter, and Janssen had to mix it up there. He was definitely going in, Kasper Janssen, but got back in the throttle, lost a bundle of time, but ultimately he's not going to get after Hansen in this one. So all Janssen needs to do is nail in the lap times to try and get ahead of Christensen come the end of the race.
So at the moment, Tobias Darbach and Oman pulling away from Darbach. Darbach's going really quite slowly towards the tail of the field, which doesn't really reflect his qualifying pace, but at the front, Timmy Hansen, again, took him 3 sessions to be fastest of all.
Janssen's on a massive mission in the background, sideways at the end of the first loose section. Hansen's just got a tenth shy of Ollie Eriksson's best lap time, but much like Ollie Eriksson, Hansen is not under pressure, and for sure Kasper Janssen will try and extend this margin for as long as he can over Victor Christensen. Christensen's in a good position. He's already through to the final on his return to this category, having been in the joker and running third, but really Janssen wants to be on the second row. We've seen how good the grip is on the second row, and should the rain come more for the finals later on, he'll want to be there rather than row 3, and indeed Janssen does a 54.7 that time around, so that's a second faster than Timmy Hansen has been so far. He's starting to close the margin on Hansen, down to 2.6 the gap, but Hansen will be managing this, knowing they both still need to joker. This is all about Kasper Janssen trying to clear Victor Christensen.
And of course, Hansen is jokering last lap, so he knows that Janssen can't possibly do anything different, so they will both joker this time. And as you say, it is
chronic understeer for Timmy Hansen. Now, has he got a puncture front left? Very hard to see, but the car was really negative into that long corner. Gets a good drive out of the joker. It's going to be enough. Clearly, Janssen has done plenty to get ahead of Christensen, but Timmy Hansen's slow here at the end of this race. I'm sure he's got an issue front left, but it's not going to matter. Timmy Hansen crosses the line to take victory in semi-final number 2 and promote himself to the front row of the final later on. At the moment, we'll go no further today, nor will Tobias Darbach, but I'd be fascinated to find out what happened to Timmy there towards the end of the run.
Oh, just missed looking at the car as it came under our commentary box window, but it was a great start from Timmy Hansen, right from the outside of the front row, cut across everybody else, controlled the first corner as Kasper Janssen went out wide, tried to hang it on the outside, and there was just enough overlap for Hansen to deny him. And then later on, Christensen holding Janssen up and jokering from second place. But Janssen did enough at the checkered flag.
No, I don't think Timmy has got a puncture in that shot.
I wonder if a damper had gone down or something. That's hard to see, the actual visible effect of it, but the effect of it will be significant for the driver. Timmy Hansen, Kasper Janssen and Victor Christensen all go through at a moment, and Tobias Darbach will have to try again tomorrow. Yeah, a lot more sideways now than he was previously. So those are the semi-finals completed, and there we have our lineups for the finals all sorted out.
We'll be back at 3:10 local time with the finals. You watch some highlights from the event so far, and we'll be back very soon indeed.
Welcome back, everybody, to Tierp Arena here in Sweden. First day, strictly second day, I suppose, of action, really. Yeah, Friday qualifying. Second day of action. It's not Sunday, it's Saturday, so I'm confused. Doesn't take much to confuse a simple man. Martin Haven here, Hal Ridge alongside, who does know what day it is and how many days cars are being running out of 2. We've done qualifying, we've done our semi-finals, so now, Hal, finally, I think I've got this right, time for finals.
Indeed, yeah, plenty of finals to come as well, and it stopped raining. Good for the fans here, maybe better for the drivers, potentially a little bit less interesting if the grip levels are more consistent. But I do think that, as we saw in the semi-finals, if you haven't watched them already, that we saw a difference in grip levels between the different rows on the grid. And I don't think it's going to have dried enough to have affected that massively. There's still damp patches around, so it'll be fascinating to see how that plays out. We've got several finals coming for you, so stay tuned.
So we're going to start with the action from Cross Car Juniors. We'll go through Cross Cars, then Supercar Lights, two-wheel drive. If any of them are remaining, it's been a fairly much carnage in the two-wheel drive category, and we'll have our four-wheel drive cars as well. So plenty to see.
We start with open four-wheel drive Pro-Am, where we see one of the rising stars of this paddock from this weekend in the Polo Supercar in Seversend.
Right, let's address that, because he's in a supercar and he's in open four-wheel drive, but predominantly in the AM category, and he is regarded currently as an AM driver, right? So yeah, that's the reason for him being in there.
Yeah, and should there be more supercars coming later in the season, they'll have their own final away from the FC2s in the Pro category as well. So at the moment, Seversend is racing alongside the FC2 drivers who are considered AM, and actually there's some variations to the rules this year where if you're on the podium twice in the Pro class, you have to remain in the Pro class, because the AM FC2 drivers also race in the Pro category. So there's different variations, and ultimately it's to try and get those drivers who are up and coming more track time and the ability to race within people who are among their own pace, because ultimately if you're coming into this for the first time, Victor Christensen, who made his debut in FC2 last year, is coming back this weekend, arguably an AM, or is an AM, but did a great job there against Timmy Hansen, Oliver Eriksson, Nicholas Gronheim, some of the best rallycross drivers on the planet. So yeah, it's all about trying to grade them, much as you would in your world, Martin, in GT racing. You
try and make sure that, particularly because a lot of these drivers will be finding their own sponsors, funding it themselves. You want to be racing with your peers. You want world champions racing with world champions, and you want lesser experience and maybe slightly older and not maybe quite as fast drivers racing against drivers of a similar ilk. And this is without having to go to all the business of then trying to give driver license grades, and then you make more and more smaller separations between the fields. So yeah, it's a good way of getting it started. So we've got a very empty track behind us. They're doing a little bit of grading and sweeping over. You can see right in the far you probably can't see right in the far distance because Hal's in the way and I'm in the way, but
I'll happily leave.
Well, I was just going to say, in the bowl right at the, so this is like trying to do weather on TV. In the bowl here, they were grading it, but now the sweeper has gone away, so we should be ready to go, but no cars at the line at the moment.
I wonder if we can see pre-grid. We can, and there are cars coming to pre-grid. Not yet in their cars, though, the drivers. So still getting ready.
Well, the marshals all seem to be on post, and the wall down at the hairpin that was moved has been moved back, as we saw. So no further work going on there. So it is just really waiting for everybody to be in position. Now again, Hal, we saw in the semis a bit of a split decision between drivers committing to a dry weather tyre or opting for the wet weather tyre. Do you think it's still got that potential that a wet might be the thing to go with right now within the next 5-minute window?
So the reason they were using the wets was to generate the heat from the tyre. It wasn't wet enough to try and displace the water, but the Nova Wet is more modular. The blocks on the tyre move around more. They're a cross-ply tyre, of course, in construction rather than a radial rally tyre, and those blocks also help you a lot on the loose. I'm just looking over my shoulder at the first of the loose surface sections across that series of jumps into the corner around the building, and you rely on the wet tyre there to dig into the loose that little bit more. So Yeah, it's tricky. Maybe the ultimate pace isn't there, but it's certainly a safer route to go down. Potential to overheat the tyre as well if it does dry out, but it's still cold and pretty overcast as the cars come to the grid. I'd say if you had all ultimate pace drivers in these races, I think you'd go with a dry. But I think the wet for the lesser experience, as we see Oman, Nason at this level, it'll be interesting to see what they're on. But ultimately, as we hear the pre-start for Siversend, this is the newcomers to lose based on the pace he showed yesterday.
Yeah, so Emil Siversend in the VW Polo, and alongside him will be Victor Christensen. Emil Nason, after that hard impact with the wall at the hairpin, at the beginning of his semi-final, skating straight off, fully locked up, and I'm sure it felt like the car was accelerating towards the wall there, and he hit it with a heck of a welt. Honestly, I'm surprised that the car wasn't damaged. Very surprised that he continued fairly much immediately and relatively unabated pace. Adam Oman with the orange and black machine on row 2. Then the Estonian Romit Siena with the white nose and the black rear end of his car, and Tobias Darbach with the yellow and red, the Dane on row 3 grid. So Emil Siversend has been the dominant force in the Polo, and let's see if he can continue that. So Victor Christensen on the outside. The Polo has launched well and been driven well, but has not been entirely without being under pressure. And Victor Christensen, let's see if he can do what he needs to do to get ahead of the Polo from the start. The heli is overhead, and our drone pilot has been doing some sterling work as well. Let's see what our cameras will pick up on the run down to the start. Emil Siversend, that front row start has not always been the best in these greasy conditions. That's probably the one grid spot there where there is always guaranteed to be the most rubber. So open four-wheel drive, the AM final, Siversend and Christensen on row 1. Look for the black nose of Nason and the orange of Oman from row 2, and then the white nose Siena on row 3 with Darbach's red and yellow machine. 5, 6 cars all ready to go. Who gets the best launch? Watch Siversend on the left. In theory, with the slightly longer run down to the first corner, there's contact, and immediately Adam Oman has the lead. Siversend's in the wall, and that looks like a pretty substantial amount of damage.
Christensen as well in the wall there, Martin. Adam Oman, an unlikely leader into the first corner. Those two cars will be well out of the way on the racing line. Siversend's getting out of his car. What a shame for the Polo driver after an astonishing debut day in the Polo. He walks away super dejected, but this is a golden opportunity for Adam Oman at the front of the order. Had a few issues in qualifying yesterday. That's a lot of damage on the STS RX car of Victor Christensen. It just all got bottled up, and again, Martin, we saw that the front row of the grid just doesn't have the traction, and that's where the rest of the pack joined the front row in that scrum, and it all got rather messy.
And they come in from the inside, if you like, as well, so they've actually got more speed, and they're drifting out wide towards the wall. So if you don't start well from the front row, you end up getting, exactly as Siversend did there, pushed into the wall. So it's Oman from Darbach, Nason in third, the all-black car, Romit Siena. There's not much of a spread between them. Nason jokered on that lap, and actually that might not have been a bad choice. Romit Siena in front of him with damage to the front of his car. The Estonian was the other man involved in that 3-car pile-up. Not enough to have stopped him dead, but it might be enough to take the edge off his pace. So Adam Oman leads with Tobias Darbach in second, Romit Siena for the moment in third, and having jokered, Emil Nason in fourth position. I can't believe that Nason's car didn't sustain seemingly any damage from that head-on at the hairpin in his semi-final.
Understeer from Oman through that corner. This is Darbach into the joker. This is to try and cover off Nason behind and guarantee a podium slot this afternoon. It's worked out lovely for the Danish driver. Gets it stopped, turned into the penultimate corner.
And that's one of the problems of coming back off the loose there, isn't it? Is that actually that's quite a substantial 90 left, 90 right stop. So you've got to make sure you get it under control. Oman leads, Robert Cerner up to second, but Robert Cerner has to joker still, assuming that his car all stays together. He's also got to produce some pace here as well. How far is he behind? 4.5 seconds behind Adam Oman. No incentive yet for Oman really to joker. And I wonder whether his spotter will say, you can cover this off quite happily.
I think all the incentives there, Martin, because if you've got the gap, in my experience, you would joker to maintain track position. Should you get a puncture late in the race, you can potentially defend it. You can't defend it if you have to get into the joker. If Cerner goes now, he doesn't, then you would definitely go next time. I would consider going soon because Oman's got a 4.5 second gap now and is clearly well on top of this car in these greasier conditions. The learnings of the semi-finals in the pro category will have helped him so much. 55.8 he did on the second tour. Third tour he's done a 56.2. Cerner's gone fastest now on a 55.7, so we've dropped a few tenths to the driver in second there, has Oman, but there'll be a degree of management as well at the front of this order, knowing that Cerner still has to take the joker because Darback, the first of those that has been in, is some 6.8 seconds off the lead.
So it makes sense for him to control it here around this bank parabola and then drop down into the joker lap. Ignore Cerner. He doesn't joker yet, so his spotter is keeping him out front. And Cerner in second place, yet to joker as well. So Darback has jokered, Nason's jokered as well.
Nason's struggling for pace. I wonder if there's a legacy of the contact in the run down to the first corner causing it. Oh, and it's dropped it.
Yeah.
Nason's had contact with something there. That's an odd place to have an off towards the end of the lap. I'd like to see that again if we've got it as a replay in the truck. Meanwhile, though, Oman has responded to the pace of Cerner, and that gap has stabilised. Cerner's taken another half a tenth out of him last time around, but it's not going to be enough, is it? Because Oman, in his debut season at this level in four-wheel drive competition, is driving beautifully here.
And he's got a 7-second advantage over Tobias Darback, who has jokered. So Oman must joker this lap. Cerner in second place must joker this lap as well. And no matter almost how slow it goes for him, and you wonder actually where Nason's car is on the exit, because it looked like he lost it over that last jump and down into the barriers. In fact, he went hard off there.
Darback hard on the back of Robert Cerner into the last couple of corners. There'll have been yellow flags there on the way in. Meanwhile, Adam Oman takes victory in the Pro-Am Open four-wheel drive final here at Tierp.
And a win, I'm sure that he was
we've got
not
another
expecting.
lap to go unless they haven't seen the flag, because we're going again behind us in the commentary position.
Well, they're still going. How many laps have we completed? 5 laps completed. It's showing them all as having passed the checkered flag. Pits coming off Adam Oman's car. Robert Cerner.
As a driver, you just go again though, don't you? Because you don't risk the... having not seen the flag, you can't risk assuming that you're on the right lap. So all of the spotters will be sending their drivers again. There'll be plenty of fuel to do it. They all lifted and then got back into the throttle, didn't they? You could hear that clearly in the background.
Yeah.
But Adam Oman, with the job already done, you don't need that sort of pressure, do you, as taking your first victory at this level. But again, crosses the line. There's the flag this time around. The order doesn't change. Robert Cerner's got a bit of damage. He's lucky that he's running with the OMC team, who I'm sure will get that car patched up ready for the pro final at the end of this set of finals.
Third place for Tobias Darback. In the end, he was very close to Robert Cerner off the joker, but not quite close enough.
Right, let's have a look back at this incident. So Nason gets a great start. Christensen gets squeezed.
It's Christensen squeezing the pole man, isn't it?
Christensen, no, I'd like to see that drone shot from further back.
Yeah. I think he comes over.
But I don't think you can blame Christensen for moving, because let's see this spin. This could be wild, couldn't it? So that's Nason's got broken rear suspension. The rear right's already broken. I wonder if that's been bent for a while. I didn't see that in the shot, to be honest, because he was so far off the back. But I wonder if that's been bent for a while, and then it is given up.
Well, that's the rejoin, but into yellow flags.
Yeah, so Darback couldn't have done anything there anyway. Arguably, he probably should have lifted a little bit sooner. Because we've got a delay with 3 cars to clear up, I wonder if producer Callow, if we could try and see that start line incident again as we see confirmation of the results in the open four-wheel drive AM final. Adam Oman takes the race win from Turner and Darback.
And if that's the podium you had on your lottery card, then good luck with tonight's lottery, because you should be in the money.
Right, let's have a look back at this again. So Christensen in the middle has come across a little bit. Nason's had a mega start, and actually Nason's that's so difficult to call that scenario. The innocent bystander in all of that is Siversen, who did absolutely nothing wrong. Yeah. You could argue that Christensen's come over a little bit, but ultimately you're not expecting the car from behind to come through like a torpedo. It's tricky, isn't it? We've got ages of clear up here again, so I'd like to see that. Can we see that from the drone, maybe?
Well, Nason was actually the pivot, wasn't he, that Christensen got fired
You
around.
See that so often, don't you, with
yeah.
the car behind, then the two cars in front. Let's see that from behind. There's a great angle. So there is Cerner that's going to the... Christensen's moved a bit, yes, to the right. Nason's got stuck between them.
And Oman's turning left because the corner's a left-hander,
Ooh,
but Christensen is trying to cover off Siversen at the start.
That was a big impact into the wall for the front of the Polo. That Polo was used last weekend in Riga in the European Championship after just being finished a rebuild by Jonas Shettel Larsen. Yeah, there's a bit to do here.
Yeah. And that means that
this will be a good shot here. So Christensen has moved a bit. The amount Christensen's moved right will also be deceptive there because he's been rotated around the front of Nason. Let's have a look at the rear of Nason's car. I'd say Nason's car's already broken at that stage, judging by how sideways he is.
Well, the fact that he managed to complete another 4 laps after that is remarkable. And classic 3-1 won't go. And unfortunately, the front row men, actually particularly Christensen, moving to his right to cover off Siversen, the pole man, rather than moving to his left to try and get a run down to the hairpin is sort of the trigger. But it's the electrifying launches off row 2, almost in every semi, and so far in this final as well. We've seen that the driver, particularly third on the grid, on the inside of row 2, seems to be getting really well hooked up, and that was Emil Nielsen, and he ended up just basically being almost level with the door mirrors of the 2 front row starters. And from there, Christensen, who was already starting to go right, was just rotated around the nose of the black car, and then he was heading straight into the wall at absolutely a 90-degree angle. So that's a big old impact. So yeah, a few minutes of tidy up. You can see some of the paddock down there. Our friends from Scania, big old truck show down there as well. They've been coming in for the last couple of days. That's a good view of the final corner. That long 180-degree right-hander. It's looking quite dry, quite grippy, but if you're half a metre offline and 2 wheels are on the slippery stuff, then maybe not remotely grippy. Nice little view of what is a very peaceful forested and lake area around this Tierp arena, the small town of Tierp, just about 50 kilometres to the northeast, north-northeast actually of Stockholm. So again, really very easily achievable. It's a little under an hour's drive from the centre of the city. Difficult to make it out here, so hopefully with a bit of better weather forecast. There was quite a lot of storm and drang forecast for today. Fortunately, we haven't had the torrents of rain that were expected, which is good news for the spectators certainly, and for the track workers and the marshals and the officials and the girls on the gate checking the passes and selling the tickets and everybody else. Even if Hal wants a little bit of greasy track, we can sprinkle it without having to sprinkle the fans. So once we've had a bit of tidy up, we will head into the final 4 cross-car juniors. Some very familiar names, all making it through into the final. Elvery Manisto and perhaps surprise winner of the second semi, Alex Antila, are the men on the front row of the grid. Just sheltering a little bit from the wind there on the corner of the grandstand, I rather fancy. And our rescue crew, as ever, well rehearsed. Again, I think for both drivers, that's probably just knocked the wind out of their sails a little bit. Probably going to be feeling a bit stiff in the morning.
Well, Christensen's still got another final to go, so he'll be hoping that he can get the car back to Simon Olafsson and the STS RX team to get it sorted out. Clearly, Victor is all right. Broken front right suspension, a lot of bodywork. These cars, having been grown out of the Supercar Lights concept, are pretty modular, and will have a good chance, I would say, of being back on the grid.
Yeah, the faster that they can get that back to the team, the better. And of course, that car will need to be recovered as well.
This is a replay of Nason, who already has broken right rear suspension. You can see it on that shot just looking underneath the car, and it's either given way completely or just upset the balance a bit. Just upset the balance a bit, and yeah, that's high speed down there. I'd say he was lucky to get away with that, was Nason, but we'll live to fight another day. Clara Anderson working as his data engineer this weekend, looking at the V-Box, but yeah, they still need to recover that car. So you take a look at that, and we will be on the grid very shortly.
Recovery completed. Let's get the action back underway as we head into the final 4 cross-car juniors. And with the yellow and white very quick away from pole position, Ilverin Manisto, Alex Antela on the outside with the red highlights and the white roof.
Ricky Hukar though, it's Jere Hukar, isn't it, from the second row of the grid, who's made a brilliant start, just managing the grip on the way in. Manisto on the inside, can't do anything there, but gets side by side with Hukar in the run to turn 3, we'll call it, in the chicane. Great start as well for Ronaldo, climbing up the order on his debut Rallyx weekend.
Yeah, as ever, Hukar from 3rd on the grid, as he did in the semi-final, made an electrifying start, and he has the lead from Manisto, the pole sitter, and drifting out wide and into the barriers, allowing the Ronaldo to go through. Who was it in 3rd place?
It was Ronaldo that went wide and clipped the barrier.
It was, so it's Toivio who's gone by him.
Alex Antela running 3rd at the moment. It's an all-finish affair apart from
Oh, and Hukar, big mistake, gets sideways, loses the lead. Perämäki jokering on that lap from the tail of the field. And he did that to get through into the top 3 in the semi-final, but it's Manisto now who leads, and Jere Hukar in 2nd place with Antela, Ronaldo and Toivio right behind.
That could really work out for Perämäki with the top 4 so close at the moment. At the back of the order, some 6 seconds back though, so whether that's going to be too big a mountain to climb. Antela's all over the back of Jere Hukar, who just made that small mistake. Classically, when I looked across at the timing screen to look at the gaps, so little grip there at the end of the loose. I wonder if it's drizzling a bit more, because there's definitely more water coming off the tarmac there at the end of the first loose surface section.
Oh, again, very sideways for Ronaldo in 4th place. Toivio alongside and decides to joker this time because there was no clear way through. So Toivio jokers from 5th. And will Perämäki come out in front of him?
Perämäki's lost a bundle of time in the background, so won't feature now. Alex Antela right on the back of Jere Hukar. Gets a great drive out of the final corner. We'll look to the inside, going down the straight, and is indeed going to get it up the inside into the hairpin. Hukar gets the rotation done, trying to look back up the inside, has to bail out of the throttle on the exit just to avoid the wall.
Is this a tyre choice thing, do you think?
No, there isn't that much option in the cross car category to make a difference. So this is Antela feeling comfortable in the conditions, I would say. Of course, there's you can choose what tyres you're running based on the amount of wear. Hukar, look at the brake lights flicking on and off, the left foot dancing on the middle pedal, just trying to keep the cross-car machine in check.
It is very slippery here, so they get, but I mean they do get very sideways anyway, but it seems even more able to encourage the tail out. So Manisto leads, and Hukar takes his joker this time, as does Ronaldo, so that saves him from being attacked from behind. And Toivio comes back on in front of Ronaldo. So that's a net gain for Toivio because he jokered from behind Ronaldo.
Solid job though for Hukar, who's all but guaranteed himself a spot on the podium this afternoon in just a couple of laps' time. Manisto with that great opportunistic move earlier on. Jere Hukar's under big pressure here from Toivio.
Not sure that podium is settled, is it? Toivio on the inside doesn't have the overlap. You have to be super brave to try and go too wide into the chicane in these things. Not sure Hukar is quite as comfortable as he would like to be.
We'll also have to keep an eye out behind though, Toivio, for Ronaldo sitting there in the dirt wake. All of the cars in this final speed car machines, which makes it that little bit more equal as well, albeit some newer and some older. Manisto does exactly the same as had been the case earlier on by jokering early to give yourself the track position at the merge later on. Great strategic call from these young drivers to get that done, and in fairness, Martin Manisto dominated qualifying, won the semi-final, and while lost out at the start of the final, really a deserved winner this afternoon, as would they all be. But having dominated qualifying through the various challenges there, I think an absolute clean sweep would be just reward for a hard weekend. Meanwhile, Hukar, who had that brilliant start, is fighting hard to fend off fellow Finn Toivio.
Yeah, You sense this might not end up the way it is at the moment. Toivio's giving it everything last lap, and that means Antila will joker, and so Manisto should be close enough, more than close enough to cover him off. Perimaki with, looks like he was recovering from an error. Huka though, clear now from Toivio, and that might have been the decisive break. Got hooked up nicely out of the hairpin, clear through the chicane. Now Antila jokers, and so Manisto has the flying run, long way round, but the quicker way round, and he reassumes the lead. And Huka is safe, I think, from Toivio, unless he drops it here. It should be third place for him. Antila will take the checkered flag as our winner. The checkered flag is out, and I beg your pardon, Manisto takes it as the winner. Antila in second place. Huka hangs on for third despite the attentions of Toivio, and Siga Rinaldo in fifth place. Minia Perimaki continuing at the end.
What a start from Jero Huka to get between Antila and Manisto, but this was the mistake at the top of the hill. Just ran that little bit deep, got a bit over-rotated, and Manisto had a great run. That momentum continuing all the way down into the right-hander. Huka having a small little error there that ultimately let Manisto through to a lead he would not relinquish. Antila getting up the inside of Huka, who still ended up on the podium despite leading earlier on. Antila, great job from him. Manisto though has been brilliant in this round of Rallyx and is a massively deserving winner.
Manisto with the win from Antila. Huka, despite getting away well at the start, looked like he didn't really have enough traction to be a factor and only just held off Matthias Toivio, but he is on the podium with Ivari Manisto and Alex Antila. So moving from juniors into cross car, and Espen Isaksatre on pole position from Rico Huka, and then you're going to have to watch the all-white car of Oliver Lucas Jensen, who was only just beaten by Isakstre in their semi, and he is in that favoured third on the grid position. Watch the white car. Does he get a good launch? Not as good as Rico Huka from pole position, so another Huka is going to lead into turn one on lap one. And in fact, the man from third on the grid goes into the first corner in sixth and last position.
Carl Svedlund, brilliant move up the inside for the Swede from the back row. Stunning job from the reigning junior champion just to find that gap on the inside. Now ahead of teammate Vettel Tree. That did not work out for the pole sitter at all, did it? In Espinese, etc. No way through for the blue machine in the first couple of corners. And now we'll see if Rico Huka can hang on to this, unlike in the previous race for his younger brother.
Red and white of Janis Baumann is the Latvian in fourth place. He's leading the next little gaggle. But yeah, Rico Huka looks like he is hooked up properly on the loose and on the tarmac, and that's much better traction. He is pulling away very quickly. Bauman's think, did he joker that lap? Yes, I think he did.
Only Jensen jokered that time around. Baumann is still on the back of that leading quartet. Look at Huka feeling for the grip into the hairpins. Svedlund's managed to shake off teammate Tree as well that little bit just to find a bit more margin. Huka though, 57.4 last time around. No one else is under a 58.7, so absolutely flying at the front of the order is Huka. Listen to the car bouncing off the limiter over the loose surface section. Jensen could be a factor here. 7.4 off the lead, but could certainly be in the hunt for a podium should he not get held up. There is Jensen at the top of your picture in the background. Had great pace earlier on, helped a little bit by the conditions. These etc. will be frustrated to be running fifth here and ultimately out of the podium fight. Up front though, Svedlund is right back on the tail of Huka, despite Huka having a nearly 2-second advantage last time around. Svedlund's brought that down, but to just 4/10.
Did he overrun it, coming in off the loose? Vettel Tree in third place, and then Janis Bauman's the Latvian driver in fourth place. Huka's going to have to try and build that advantage again. He must have made a mistake coming off the loose. I've seen it so often.
They have to split the strategy, the JC team now, with their drivers second and third, but it's tricky because Baumanis is in the window. 2.3 off the back of the Tree is not enough, and Tree would risk dropping into the traffic here, so I think they've got to go again. Tree right on the back of Svedlund now. The pace is really fluctuating here, isn't it? Yeah. Depending on where you are on each part of the lap. As you say, Hukar must have made a mistake because he's eking out the margin again.
And Jensen, the white machine, the only one to have jokered, is only 6 seconds off the lead.
Poor exit from the penultimate corner for Svedlund. All over the back of the black machine is Vettel Tree, but they've both lost ground. The gap is now up to nearly 2 seconds.
Is that a blow-up? It is.
That's Svedlund.
Yep. And that's why.
That's a big fiery engine failure, isn't it, for the speed car wonder.
That is why he didn't get any traction off the corner, because it was all going clatter and bang. And that takes the pressure off Vettel Tree, but might shift it onto Rico Hukar. Well, that's not the way you want to end day one. That's expensive, smelly and disappointing for Carl Svedlund. Vettel Tree in second place. This brings Baumanis and the other three back into the hunt. Jensen was 7.2 back from the leader.
Yet again the leader jokers from the lead before those behind to ensure track position. It's interesting that only the leader and last position had joker at that stage. Tree goes again, will joker on the final tour. I think Hukar touches the wall on the inside in the final corner. Looks like he's got away with it. That could have been big damage on the front of the race leader for the duration of this until he jokered.
That's mistakes and plenty there. Vettel Tree leads, Hukar second, but Baumanis is now just 1.5 seconds behind him in third, yet to joker. Jensen, though, is the danger. Now only 5.6 seconds behind leader Vettel Tree.
No, it's not enough. Plenty.
Not to take the lead, but to be on the podium. I think he might just have enough.
For sure, yes.
It should be Hukar and Tree.
So that gap Baumanis to Jensen is only 1.7, so there's no way that's going to be enough for Baumanis. Into the joker for the final time goes Vettel Tree. Hukar does indeed move back to the lead, and as you say, Martin, in the background, Jensen's comfortably up into the podium slots after that early joker.
But Hukar, I'm sure he's giving his spotters kittens as well as himself. Hukar will take it at the checkered flag. Vettel Tree in second. Baumanis losing out there on the joker to Oliver Lucas Jensen. And Jensen jokering on lap 1 from last place, having made a great start from row 2 of the grid. I think that was a very well chosen joker. And Carl Svedlund, yeah. Watch the white car then. This is Jensen as Hukar hits the front. Jensen looked like he was making a strong start and then didn't, and then Svedlund ahead of Vettel Tree. Yeah, all just going very wrong in a hurry.
What a shame for Svedlund, who was so good in Holland. He's been so good today as well, clearly very dejected getting out of the car behind us in our commentary position. Hukar made a couple of minor errors there, but was the class of the field, clearly the fastest throughout most of the race. Will we see his little indiscretion here? No, it was after he joked, so we won't see it.
No, we just saw it as you were looking out the back window. He just clipped the sort of corner when you're going round the roundabout. The concrete walls aren't curved, they're square, and he just clipped the corner sticking out, but enough to take the win from Vettel Tree and Jensen in third place. Well chosen joker from him. He was sort of left with no option but to do something different, and it did work out because he was able to keep the pace up in clear air. That's another sad engine let go here. So unfortunately, Carl Svedlund is going to have to be recovered. Actually, the quad should be able to do this.
Depends if it's seized or not, doesn't it?
Well, if it's in, yeah, that's true. They do have a neutral, don't they?
Finding it on a bike engine is tricky at the best of times.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But if he can locate the neutral and they can rock it backwards and forwards, then hopefully they should be able to take it on the back of a tow rope rather than have to wait for the low loader. And the low loader's on its way, so we're going to do things the official way.
There'll be a degree of oil down, I'd imagine, on the inside there, which when you're starting on pole won't be ideal. I wonder if they'll try and sweep that or whether they'll just leave it. Depends how much there is.
Again, it may be a little bit like Tiger's BMW. Maybe it was a little... The engines normally don't let go with flame, and so that suggests that maybe it was an oil line. But unfortunately, that tends to mean there's more oil come out. As we get ready for our open two-wheel drive final. A little bit of a disjointed afternoon. Doesn't seem to be too much dribbling out the bottom of it. Mind you, motorcycle engines sometimes aren't exactly capacious compared to the smallest car engine. Don't hold an awful lot of oil. There you can see quite clearly the internals of the running gear of the car. Motorcycle engine mounted in the tube frame chassis behind the driver. See some young fans looking and drinking a snack. Can't beat it, can you? They have put down some oil dry, and the sweeper is going up and down. So they're just trying to make sure that any patches of oil, unfortunately, sort of right there inside those white and yellow lines, pretty much where the quad is, that's the inside line down to the first hairpin.
It's odd, isn't it?
That's where you need maximum retardation, isn't it?
Because it's not the racing line, is it? But no. It's actually the ideal line if you're on pole in the away from the start. And yeah, you might not be the only one in there as well. There might be two cars sort of both on that oil slick. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the guy closest to the wall that hits it. Driver alongside could make a mess of it as well. Just testing for traction with the quad. Tricks that you learn for clear-up operations. Just trying to rub it in a bit without having to go to the expense of the time of finding somebody with a broom to come round. All right, green lights are on. We seem to be about ready to go. Cars on the grid for the open two-wheel drive final. Rallyx here in Tierp, Sweden. And on pole position, Linus Westman in the BMW with Eric Libman alongside. Lucas Gabrielsson. Watch the Starlet. It goes off like it's fired from a catapult. Simon Tiger was due to be alongside, but no chance of that. Victor Johansson starting on hybrid drive only. And John Neal alongside. Let's see what happens. Well, awful start for Libman. Meanwhile, Gabrielsson, as you say, got a wildly good start. Is on that slippery inside, runs deep with the Starlet, managed to get it turned in. Such a nimble little chassis. John Neal looks to the inside in the run to the chicane. There won't be room on the inside. Linus Westman with work to do now with his fresh livery for this year, the black and yellow machine. And as you say, Martin, Victor Johansson running in the background with just electric powertrain from his hybrid big Mercedes, having lost the engine yesterday. And he's just about damage limitation here, isn't he? He'll go for as long as possible, hoping that strife comes to others and he can pick up more points than he might have done otherwise.
Well, watching what's happened so far this afternoon, he might be in the money there. Lucas Gabrielsson riding nicely over the curbs, absolutely flying away in front. And he's going to try and build as big a lead as possible. Joker as late as he can get away with. Watch those corners. Rika Huka didn't. just about got away with it with 4 wheels on his wagon still in the cross-car final. Gabrielsen already with a 2.6 second margin at the end of the standing first lap. So mechanical carnage has been writ large over our open 2-wheel drive category so far this weekend.
I was just having a little listen out the window there to see. There was some debate when I was chatting to Victor Johansson this morning. Some friend of his from far north in Sweden was suggesting that he took out one piston, took out something else, took out the rod obviously from that piston to try and get the car running on 3 cylinders to make it work. It would be horribly unbalanced and probably destroy itself after not very long at all, but it might have got around at that. You never know. You've seen weirder things as Gabrielsen is going to get forced wide by Lidman on the inside. Lidman's still yet to joker. Gabrielsen has jokered there in a bid to cover off Westman and Johnny, who's also been in. Johnny has lost out badly there through that joker strategy. But to conclude, I think Johansson is only running on electric powertrain in the background. You certainly couldn't hear anything. Up front though, this is now about what pace Lidman can produce to try and scarper away from this pack and to try and drop back into a podium stop, because they're so close together that at the moment it would be a trip off the podium into the joker.
Yeah, he's got 2 laps to really try and sort this out, and John Nee, that early strategy of jokering did not really work for him. He just couldn't quite make enough pace to get back in front of Linus Westman.
Gabrielsen was lucky though at the merge that he didn't get forced even more wide. Was all out of shape. Lidman has to go, and I would say has to go right until the end of the race now, just in case something happens to those behind.
And actually his pace is good. He is opening up that margin a little. The gap back to John Nee in the black and blue and green machine is now 3 seconds. It was bigger than that though, so actually Nee is closing up from behind.
Some comments in the YouTube asking what's happened to the open 2-wheel drive. So Simon Tiger lost the engine yesterday in Q2. He lost oil with an oil line failure. The conclusion of that was that once they got the wiring in fixed, they sorted the oil lines out. When they tried firing the engine, it had no oil pressure, so that was a bigger issue. Subsequently, Marcus Norman, his teammate, had a new rotary engine from New Zealand, I believe, over the winter. Did 15 laps of testing at Rallyx recently, but in the opening laps yesterday had a failure in Q1, retired from FP1 I think, and then in Q1 really lost out, and the engine cried enough. Lidman into the joker this time around. I'd say that's a lap too early, because you're already gone. I would have stayed out again. But yeah, so Marcus Norman and Simon Tiger both out with similar issues. Norman had no oil pressure either, and then Ola Froshaug had an engine failure in his new car, but he's hoping to be back next weekend in Finland. And Victor Johansson is about to hit the road for home. They've loaded the bus. He's just doing the final. I wonder if he even bothered to put the cylinder head back on the engine, because you save a bit of weight, don't you? I guess. In fact, you could have. You can't take the engine out because it's still attached to the gearbox, but I guess you could have taken most of the engine apart. But anyway, he's rotating on his electric powertrain just to get the points, and we'll be heading home. We won't see him tomorrow, but he's concocting all sorts of plans to try and be in Finland next weekend. And after the work he put in last weekend, since Holland, I'm sure that is possible. Meanwhile, up front though, Westman is all over the back of Lucas Gabrielsen for the lead in this open 2-wheel drive final.
Yeah, the BMW looks vast compared to the tiny Toyota Starlet, doesn't it? But the Starlet's got such great traction. The BMW wins on top speed, but here it's about traction. Lucas Gabrielsen made the break away from the line. He'll be racing, of course, on home soil in Finland next weekend. The Finn takes the checkered flag by inches from Linus Westman. John Nee in 3rd place. Eric Lidman just could not stay out long enough. He couldn't open up the margin when he was in the lead. And Victor Johansson whispers across the line with hybrid power only in the BMW. Ill reward for the amount of effort that he puts into that car, that he's put into it over the winter, and everything else as well from the event that he runs, that we'll go to later in the season. Well, Lucas Gabrielsen almost made the most of it at the start.
And if anything sums up Victor Johansson, it's the fact that he jumped out of the way there of Linus Westman, knowing that he was just going to hold up
Someone who's actually got a race.
Yeah, that's Victor Hansen in a nutshell. Great job from Lucas Gabrielsen to take victory in open two-wheel drive here in Tierp day 1.
Linus Vestman, 0.69 of a second behind, and he'll be thinking of all the places that he could have made that up. John Nee as well, just jokered early enough to cover off Eric Lidman. So that gets us closer towards the end of the day with Supercar lights. Robert Svitol's on the left-hand side of your screen, fastest in all 3 qualifying runs, ahead of Kevin Darback on the grid. Watch for Alex Lindqvist with the multicoloured car, and then Pontus Eriksson beside him, black and orange, and Matt Cake, the newcomer in the Virgin White machine. Not quite livery-free, but very easy to spot. Vitol's, again, the hands-down favourite here, but none of them have run in damp conditions. It is still nasty and greasy and slimy, and not at all what they experienced yesterday in qualifying, or today either, when they went out for the warm-up.
Matt Cake gesticulating out of the windows, so the car's at a funny angle as well, isn't it? So I wonder what's going on there as the open two-wheel drive drivers get out of their cars in Parc Fermé below us in the commentary position. And Linus Vestman is straight over to Lucas Gabrielsen to congratulate. There's a good camaraderie in the open two-wheel drive paddock, and yeah, that's great to see.
Well, they know that they are all designing, building, engineering, and overthinking their own cars. So yeah, big hugs going on from all of them, actually.
A big step up, I have to say, from John Nee this weekend. Wouldn't have had that sort of pace last year, I don't think, from when we'd seen. So good job from him.
Still this little hold on the start for the Supercar lights. And official going over to chat to Matt Cake. He didn't quite sort of come square onto his grid position, and I wonder if the car has, for some reason, come to a grinding halt. He's got the door open, the universal sign of I'm not ready to go. The door remains open. So we are at a temporary hold. And Robert Svitol's started at least 2 of his qualifying heats from that pole position. But again, that was dry, and he got a good launch. So this might be different territory. Third on the grid, second in from the left-hand side of your picture, Alexander Lindqvist. That does seem to be the spot from the grid from which most drivers have got the best start. Okay, so looks as though Matt Cake, door closed and ready to go. Yes, he is. Revs rise. And we are racing. Is it Robert Svitol's who has the best start? It is. But does he get the lead? Yes, he does. He's been just enough ahead of everybody, hasn't he, through qualifying, how to kind of suggest that this really is his race to lose. Lindqvist runs out very wide. The Danes alongside.
Great move from Kevin Darback to get up the inside. Decisive, got the run, moved across. Very, very composed when it's such a dangerous corner to go side by side into. Shame for Matt Cake to not take the start for whatever reason. Was driving in this event, or is driving in this event this weekend as part of his prize drive for winning the Swift Sport Rallycross Championship in the UK last year, but clearly something not right there. But for Robert Svitol's, as you say, another driver that's come through the British Rallycross scene in the junior category. He has raced at all sorts of levels and been very, very competitive. He's even won in Supercar level in the British Championship. He's raced in RX2E in the World Championship when that existed, and he's been very competitive in Supercar lights for the last couple of years, and he is the class of this field, both on pace and experience, so it's not a surprise to see him running at the front. But there's a degree of pressure there as well, and I always remember when Kenneth Hansen used to come to the UK and race in the Grand Prix, or the Super Prix as it was back then. There was, for sure, there was some funding from Citroën UK, and they came as guests to the event. And it would not be easy for Kenneth to beat the local drivers, because you kind of race at the level you're against, don't you? And if yes, should those drivers go to the European Championship, they wouldn't be at the level that Kenneth Hansen is. But when he comes to Croft and races them on their home track at their own game, you don't have the same kind of advantage. And for sure, Vittels is the quickest, but also has to put this weekend together. It's not guaranteed that you're going to get off the line well every time. It's not guaranteed you're going to have the ultimate pace when the track conditions are changing. So you still have to put the whole weekend together, and I think it's his experience that's doing him so well in that scenario.
Kevin Darback in the red and yellow, just managing to hold off Pontus Oskarsson. So Alexander Lindqvist now in second place, but Oskarsson with the orange and black down in fourth position. And that early joker for Kevin Darback has really worked well. He started well, moved up to third place ahead of Lindqvist, who has yet to joker. So that should still see him back up into second position. Kevin Darback.
Oh, Lindqvist gets all out of shape over that second little bump, just upsets the cars so much, doesn't it? Pontus Oskarsson, I have to say, is driving really nicely here.
And he's in a position where Lindqvist is really in danger of dropping off the podium, because second place Lindqvist as the leader jokers, and then third and fourth are too close together. He's not likely to come out between them. And I think Lindqvist is not opening up enough of a margin over Darback and Oskarsson.
That's a driver playing the race card, if ever you saw one, building up enough of a gap within 3 seconds, run under the Team Foreign banner to within 3 laps, to get ahead with a joker strategy, and Lindqvist still to go behind. As Lindqvist sitting there must be frustrated by that scenario, because you've done all you can and still the leader's able to get in and out.
Darback with the fastest lap of the race, 58.5. So he's the only one in the 58 so far. Nobody else has got down that far. So Darback in third place, closing on Lindqvist. And so Lindqvist's only hope now of a podium is the fourth car in the queue, Pontus Oskarsson here, losing a little bit of pace.
Oskarsson not really living with them, and I think with another lap, Lindqvist probably would have extended the margin enough, especially if he can hang on to Vittels' coattails. Yeah, I would definitely go again as Lindqvist at the moment. He has to, because he needs to try and increase this margin. What will the gap be? We'll see in just a couple of corners, but I think Oskarsson's good towards the end of the lap, isn't he? But through the first couple of corners, clearly Lindqvist is capable around there. The cross-car driver stepping up this year to four-wheel drive machinery.
The gap is opening. It was half a second bigger on the previous lap. Looks like another half a second maybe crept in by Lindqvist, but Darback faster.
3.1 the gap is. I don't think it's enough at the moment for Lindqvist.
I'm not sure it is either. And if Oskarsson can just focus on this and not make a mistake, this should be the podium. See how quick Darback is. He's now actually right on the heels of Lindqvist. Robert Vittels, the Latvian, out front, his car nice and clean. That's what happens when you're in the lead. And he goes through for the final time. Lindqvist jokers this time.
Enough.
No, it's not. Pontus Oskarsson will come flying alongside. He didn't even have to worry about the overlap. He had enough. As long as he doesn't drop it here, then he takes the podium as Robert Vittels wins it from from Kevin Darback. And in third place, Pontus Oskarsson ahead of Alexander Lindqvist. Well, Robert Vittels from pole position made no mistakes, just a little move just to his left to try and cover everybody off. And Pontus Oskarsson, great start up to second place. That was the move that put Kevin Darback ahead of Lindqvist, and Darback never looked back. Oskarsson jokered on lap 1, and Lindqvist right at the very end, but Pontus Oskarsson had done enough to guarantee that third place behind our top two. So Robert Vittels and Kevin Darback, they started 1-2, they finished 1-2. Wasn't always that way. Pontus Oskarsson running second early on, but the team making a good decision to joker him early, and he ended up on the podium. And that brings us to our FC2 final. So yellow and black Oliver Eriksson on pole position with the white bonnet and the red pattern on the nose. Timmy Hansen, then Kasper Janssen, the sort of light grey and blue car third on the grid. Nicholas Gronholm with the black bonnet and the red wings, and then Victor Christensen and Robert Smirner, and away they go. Smirner doesn't get away well, but Hansen does. Gronholm looking to go the long way round the outside. It's 4 wide and into the barriers very, very heavily.
Kasper Janssen, massive crash on the outside. Victor Christensen, though, has got up the inside, forced wide into the barrier. Is Nicholas Gronholm side by side for Timmy Hansen and Oliver Eriksson. Eriksson clips the wall on the right hand side, loses some bodywork. But up front it's Victor Christensen who's got miles ahead here. The team having repaired the car from the AM final earlier on.
And Hansen and Gronholm both edged into the wall. That's the
massive damage for Timmy Hansen at the front of the order. I thought the pack was bunched up. That's Timmy going no further this afternoon.
Right rear wheel has completely come adrift.
Nicholas Gronholm now leading with Ollie Eriksson just behind. Hansen's continuing trying to drag that FC2 machine along. He's running to the outside. Robert Cerner into the Joker this time around. Hansen stops. Cerner through. Christensen, though, I said Gronholm was leading because Christensen's got a 3.3 second lead.
Well, he was the only one that wasn't in the wall on the exit of the hairpin here last time round. Gronholm was, Eriksson was alongside him, Hansen was in the wall, and so was Cerner despite his slow start. So Victor Christensen, epic. I don't know, maybe they repaired the car and then covered it in silicone lubricant or something, because he somehow got through that first corner kerfuffle and came out clear.
What pressure, though, with 4 laps to go, with Nicholas Gronholm bearing down on you. Ollie Eriksson and Nicholas Gronholm need to work together here if either of them want to win this race this afternoon. Christensen, the least experienced of the trio. Oliver Eriksson Jokers this time around. That will be to, in part, cover off Robert Cerner, but really it's about getting free air. Clearly out ahead of Cerner. This allows Gronholm as well to start hunting down Christensen. 3.3 was the gap last time around. The gap's down to 3.3 again, fastest lap of the race for Nicholas Gronholm on a 56.9, but only a tenth faster than Victor Christensen. What a drive this is from the young Swede.
And what a work from the team as well. That car was very broken the last time we saw it. They put it back together, they have fixed everything, and it looks like it's an absolute flyer. Gronholm in second, and in third place is Eriksson, having made his Joker already. Kasper Janssen very much out, Timmy Hansen out as well. So down to 4 runners. At the moment, Robert Cerner not a threat for the podium.
I feel like we've been robbed of a good race here, but at the same time it's a remarkable outcome, and Christensen's driving amazingly at the front of the order. Gronholm into the Joker. This is to cover off Ollie Eriksson, who's coming in hot.
Well, you only need 2 cars to make a race, and these 2 cars are definitely making a race of it. Nicholas Gronholm just ahead of Ollie Eriksson now. So now Eriksson has jokered off strategy, tried to do something different. He's stuck behind Gronholm. Gronholm's jokered and covered him off. So now Eriksson is going to actually have to fight him and find a way to get by him through the chicane.
Fastest lap of the race last time for Ollie Eriksson, a 56.4. But critically it's a 56.5 for Christensen, and all that's going to happen now is that Gronholm and Eriksson will be slowing each other up that little bit. 7.1 is the margin. I would get in the Joker now. Simon Olofsson, I would imagine, is on the radio to Victor Christensen. I would get him in and out of the Joker as quickly as possible here. Clearly looking well on top of the car. Will Joker this time around. 7.1 the gap should be plenty. It is. Nicholas Gronholm's on a wild old ride in the background, but this could be a dream victory for Victor Christensen.
Yeah, Nicholas Gronholm not close enough at all to put the pressure on him, and that's all going to come from inside. Victor Christensen, as you said, you know, he's away and clear, and so immediately you start to think, yeah, great, but also don't drop it, don't make a mistake. Then you start to question yourself, and if you can avoid that and keep your pace up, and he seems to be doing that, then that is great mental fortitude. Christensen jokers safely. Last lap, Gronholm is over 2 seconds behind. Doesn't matter what he does in the car now, Gronholm, he's not going to catch Christensen. If Christensen gives it away, that's one thing, but look how sideways Gronholm and Eriksson are
Christensen's gone a bit wide. Gronholm's closing here into the final few corners. Has Christensen got an issue, or is he just succumbing a little bit to that pressure? And wouldn't you just, with Nicholas Gronholm and Ollie Eriksson bearing down on you?
Well, it looks like he's steadied the ship and he's pulled away again. But Gronholm throwing a kitchen sink at it, and he's left Ollie Eriksson trailing in his wake. But it is going to be victory on Saturday for Victor Christensen. He will win it here. Dramatic slide of celebration across the line. The first time he's got really out of shape. there is not the win, I think, that many people might have expected. Victor Christensen takes it from Nicholas Gronholm and Oliver Eriksson in third place. And he didn't get away scot-free. Damage on the left rear of that car. The first corner ended up pretty much deciding everything.
Let's have a look back then. Timmy Hansen comes across on Ollie Eriksson. Timmy Hansen made a brilliant launch. Round the outside goes Nicholas Gronholm. Casper Janssen locks up here on the left-hand side and goes sailing into the wall on the outside. Oh, that's a massive impact for Casper Janssen. Right, have a look up front. Christensen goes up the inside, clips Timmy Hansen. Timmy Hansen has Gronholm in the... I thought Gronholm was gone at that stage,
yeah,
Martin.
I thought so too. And Hansen. I'm surprised either of them survived.
Well, Timmy didn't, did he? Because he had that broken suspension. Yeah. So there's Christensen. There is Gronholm into the rear. And then Ollie... That closing speed for Casper Janssen is huge.
Yeah.
Watch the car... Robert Cerner's miles away, must have had a poor start. We didn't see that.
Yeah, no, he basically stalled at the line, I think.
So this is Timmy Hansen going side by side with Ollie Eriksson, and then later on in that lap, this is Timmy Hansen wrestling the Bucking FC2 with that broken right rear suspension. I actually thought Nicholas Gronholm was leading at this stage because I'd forgotten that Christensen was so far ahead.
Yes, absolutely. Not even in the same shot, and this is 3 corners in. And that broken suspension, that was the slap with Ollie Eriksson as he came off the wall. And yeah, pulled out of the way. He knew he was going no further with that. All he was going to do was hold other people up and damage the car. But yeah, what a run from Victor Christensen. Maybe one slight little stumble on the final lap that allowed Gronholm a sniff of a hope, but he still won by 1.25 seconds. Gronholm with the fastest lap in the final, but not enough. Victor Christensen, the winner from Nicholas Gronholm. Oliver Eriksson in third place. Well, there was plenty of drama in that, wasn't there? And they kept it going right to the very end. Certainly, Nicholas Gronholm and Oliver Eriksson were at it hammer and tongs right until the last lap. And then Oliver Eriksson faded. I wonder whether that's maybe also a legacy of that little rub with Timmy Hansen. You know, you saw Christensen losing part of that left rear bodywork, and that was in that first corner. Farrago as well.
But with a 3-second gap there, looking at the timing screen at the end, there's also a degree of managing the tyres for another day. Yes, you throw your hat in, but if it's unlikely to win at that stage, yeah, you're better to fight on and put yourself in a better position for tomorrow. And I think a lot of the time, that's what these experienced drivers are doing, is just thinking about the bigger picture.
Which brings us to tomorrow, because, of course, tomorrow we're going to do the whole thing. Except we're not. We're going to do twice as much, because basically didn't do very much today. So what we're going to do tomorrow, we're going to start with first heat of qualifying and go all the way through the entire day. And after setup on Friday and qualifying on Friday and free practice for everybody, and then competition today, tomorrow is a massive high-pressure day. And so damage and problems then are going to possibly have an even bigger knock-on effect than they have done today.
Sure, but today's the anomaly, isn't it? Because they're used to running in these single event, single round days. And yeah, they're well up for it. And of course, you've got all week to fix it before Finland, haven't you? So it has a different element to it too. We'll be live, of course, from Open Two-Wheel Drive, I believe, in Q2. Tomorrow morning. There's been some brilliant racing here. Martin, highlights? What takes your fancy?
Just that. Actually, that was as much fun, I think, as everything else or anything else. There's been, things that we don't see. Some great work, and particularly actually with Christensen's team, some great work getting cars back out under time pressure. Yeah. Because that was a mess. That was, you looked at it and you thought, okay, we're not seeing that again today. But as you said, the modular way that these cars are constructed does sort of allow them to have a shot. And because the body panels are all separate, it can look a lot worse than it is sometimes. And in that case, they were lucky, weren't they? So, and he paid them back with spades. So, yeah, I don't know who buys who a crate of beer in that case.
Everyone. I'm sure they'll love it.
At this price, I think they're all going to have to split it anyway. So, yeah, and that was everything that you need from a day of rallycross, actually. Lots of really close racing, some slightly greasy conditions. Tomorrow's going to be different. It'll be dry. We're expecting maybe not sunshine, but at least not rain. So, hopefully it'll be a little bit more of what they're used to.
Indeed.
But that won't make it any less exciting.
I don't have the start times available in front of me, but make sure to keep an eye out on the Rallyx social media accounts and on YouTube. And join us tomorrow for qualifying and another set of semi-finals and finals.
We'll see you then.